In today's video, we're going to be creating a complete law firm website in Figma. We're just going to take a moment to explore the pages. So we have a working prototype of our design as well. I'm going to scroll down through the page and you can see it, and we can navigate to the about page. This is what it looks like. And right here in the footer section, I'm going to go to practice areas, and we can see our different practice areas in our imaginary law firm. And let's say we want to go to the contacts page. Through this button, we can go to the contacts page. I'm just going to scroll to this. Is just an interactive button. Let's meet our attorneys. I'm going to just scroll down so that I can see the attorneys page. All right, that's it for this video. We're going to create the mood board and wireframe. We're also going to create all the web pages. We're going to have a style guide for that. And then finally, we're going to create the prototype, and this is what the prototype looks like. All right, let's get started. To begin our project, we're going to need a mood board. I'm not going to create one from scratch. I'm just going to show you the one I used when I was creating this project. So all of these images I got from Pinterest. You can find whatever images you need from wherever you tend to get your images. So I really like this design for this hero section. That's actually what we used in this particular project. So something very similar to this is what I use in this design. I also liked, this is not a law firm. As you can tell, it's not, this too is not a law firm website. However, I really like this form design, this sort of, will I say a form? And I just kept it here for inspiration. And I believe if you are ever searching for a particular website design, the images you're going for or the items you're using shouldn't be specifically related to that project. You can just look at it and say, oh, this would look good. I really like this gold color of this website. I also like the sort of the icons, although we use a slightly different orientation in our own design, but I like this gold color, and that's what I really liked. I just kind of had a bunch of images to kind of guide what I was doing. This checker pattern here, where you have this text and the person, text, person, that's what we're going to use also in our design. So I could go on and on. So our meet the attorney's page looks just like this. So I could go on and show you how I got my inspiration, but that would be way too time consuming. But in general, this is how I tend to pick the item. So if you look, once I zoom out, you can kind of get the feel of how the websites all look like, and that's what tends to guide my design principles. Anyway, that's it for the mood board. Once again, all you need to do is search law firm websites. This one's it was from previous projects. I just added it to this one, but just search law firm websites in what law firm website UI UX design or law firm website design in Pinterest, and you're going to get a lot of ideas. Let's now move on to create our wireframe. I'm going to start with a placeholder for images. So let me grab a frame and I'm just going to draw that. Let's change the width to, let's say, 400, and height, let's make it 300. Next up, I'm going to insert an icon. So right click and I'm going to run iconify. Give this a moment, and I'm going to search for image, and I'm going to use this one. I'm going to change the color of that particular icon to, let me just use something a bit on the, let me say slightly. So this is 919191. No real color, you just need something that has contrast to the background of our frame. Let's change the background of the frame also. So I'm just going to go to fill, and I'm just going to change this something, let's say like this. So it's or let me just make it a little, okay, FO. So that's it. I'm going to select this icon and I'm going to make the dimensions 100 by 100, and I'm going to align it to the middle and also the center of this frame. Now I'm going to change the constraints to center and center. That way, whenever we resize this image placeholder, it's always going to, that icon is always going to be in the center. I'm just going to make this image placeholder, and we are going to duplicate this as many times as we need in our project. So you can save it as a component if you want, but I'm not going to do that. Let me just move it to the side. Next up, we're going to need another frame for our desktop layout. I'm just going to click on F so I can get my frame presets, frame options, and I'll go over to desktop and I'll use this desktop option. And I'm going to rename this homepage. And I'm going to add a layout guide. So come over here, add a layout guide. Let's change the kind of guide we want. So it's currently a grid. Let's make it columns. Let's open the settings and we're going to make the count of columns 12. Next up, let's change the margin to 120 and we are going to make the gutter 24. Like so. I'm just going to close this, maybe extend this a little bit like this. And you know what, I'm going to just make this a component so it doesn't mess up my design. I'm just going to bring a copy of that instance into our page, and this is what we're going for. Just have the image go out of the layout guide on both sides a little bit on either side. Next up, we're going to insert some text. So I'm going to click on T and I'm going to insert a text. I'm going to type logo and let's change the font. Really doesn't matter. I'm going to change the weight to bold and size is going to be 32. This is just a placeholder for our logo and I'm just going to place it here. Next, I'm going to create a copy of this text box, and this one, let's change this to regular, and I'm also going to change the size to 16. I'm going to create a total of 5 copies, so I will have this for our items, our header links. This is going to be home, this is going to be about, practice areas. Going to move this. This is practice areas, attorneys, and this is contacts. I'm going to move that to the edge. Select these, just go over to alignment and then distribute horizontal spacing, then select this logo also. I'm just going to use Alt V to align them vertically and then I'm going to group. So we are done with that section, which is the header section. Next up, we're going to need a rectangle. So I'm just going to use R and insert the rectangle like this and just kind of position it around here. Once again, no real dimensions or spacing, all that good stuff. That's going to come when we're creating the actual web pages. I'm going to add a text. I'm just going to write lorem ipsum $6. Let's change the size of this text to 24 and I'm going to reduce the width so it's on 2 lines and just place it here like this. Next up, let me just grab a copy of this text box. Why not? I'm going to change the size of this to 18 and I'm going to need the lorem ipsum text generator. So I'm going to right click, go over to plugins, and I'm going to run lorem ipsum. You can use whatever version of this plugin you use. I think there are multiple versions of this, or multiple different lorem ipsum text generator. So I'm going to generate, let's see 10 sentences. Okay, that's maybe I should have gone with 5. I just want about 3 lines of text, so let me just, so I should have gone with more like 4 or 5. I think this is more like 4 sentences. I'm just going to increase the width of this text like this. Next, I'm going to copy this text again. I want to create a button very quickly. This will be book a consultation. And I'm going to change the size to, let's use 18 also. Let me change the resizing of this to auto width, and I'm going to make it a frame. I'm going to add a fill. Let me add a fill, and I'm just going to leave it at white, and I'm just going to position it like this. So this is the wireframe for our hero section. Let's now scroll down a bit. So we're going to have a little text just around this side. So I'm going to place this here. Let me change the resizing to auto width so everything is on a single line. I'm going to position it here, and I'm going to grab a copy of this text. And that's going to be essentially the theme of this wireframe. We're going to keep creating copies and copies. We're going to insert new elements when we need to, but we're mostly just going to be making copies. I'm going to copy this, paste. I want it to be much longer. Let's say, let me extend this. I'm going to change the alignment of text to, I want it to be center. Next, let me grab a copy of this button, and I'm going to have it, oops, here like this. So we have, it's probably going to be a brief introduction. You can't see the background of the button. That's fine. I'm going to grab a copy of this subheading. This is going to be a brief introduction to the practice areas. For this, I'm going to reduce the size of this one to, let's use 57. We're going to build a very simple card. I'm going to start with, let's start with an icon. So once again, just run Iconify. So I'm going to go to plugins, run Iconify, and let me see, building. This is my go-to anytime I'm creating a wireframe and I need to use an icon. That's the one I just used. I'm going to change it to black. I'm going to change the dimensions to 75 by 75. Next up is a line, so I'm just going to click on L, and then I'm going to insert a line. Let's say this length. Don't need to worry too much about the length of the line. Mine is currently 211. Once again, there's no need to worry too much about the length of the line, actual line, since we're just creating this for a wireframe. I'm going to create a copy of this text. I'm going to change the size of this one to 24. Let me make it smaller. Let's say 22. So I'm using 22 for this text. Let me grab another text, a copy of this text. I want to generate just 2 sentences here. So this is going to be 2 sentences, and we're going to make the size of this 16. I want to change the size of this text to 16, and I'm going to reduce it, since this card is going to be on 3 lines, on 3 columns, sorry. So this is just a very simple card design. We're still going to use this layout in our actual design. And finally, it's going to be a rectangle. I'm just going to kind of position it over this. Let's add a stroke. So add a stroke, remove the fill. That's it, and that looks good. So this is just a very quick card I've created. We are actually going to use this in our design. So let's create copies of this. I'm just going to, we have a total of 8 practice areas. So I just created 4 copies, and then I'm going to create another 4. So this is the practice area, sort of the introductory section. We're still going to have a practice areas card, but for now we're just going to have these ones here, a practice areas page. But in the home page, just to introduce our users to our services, we're going to have one here. And I'm also going to create a button. This button is going to take us to the practice areas page. And yeah, that's it for this one. Let me just group it to make it easier to work with. I'm going to want to create a customer testimonial section. So I'm just going to bring this here, and we are just going to reduce the size to 57, and I'm going to bring this here, and I'm going to grab a copy of this text and bring it down here. I'm going to just reduce the number of lines of this text to, let's say, this, and I'm going to create a copy of this, and I'm going to just add a quotation mark here. So I'm going to place one, let's say here, and then I'm going to create a copy of this quotation mark, bring it here, and then just bring your mouse cursor to the corner of this, and you see that arrow that is pointing 2 directions. That means we can change the rotation. I'm going to hold shift down and then rotate it 180 degrees, and I'm going to select all of this, create another copy. So we'll just have 2 client testimonials. I'm just going to group this entire sections like that. Let's move on and create the next part. Next up, I'm going to create a rectangle, so, and it's going to go across half the entire frame. And I'm just going to, let me copy this text, and I'm going to copy and then just paste so I don't paste inside the same group. I'm going to reduce this so it's on 2 lines. Just place this here. I'm going to reduce the width of this text. Let me change the alignment back to left, and just going to kind of place it in the center like that. Let me grab a copy of the image placeholder and just cover the other half of our frame. Extend this and bring it down. Okay, so we're done with that section, and I'm going to once again create a copy of this, bring it here. I'm just going to I want to reduce the length of this text, so I'm going to make it, let's say, like this. Let me bring this one a bit closer, and this is where we're going to have that sort of form slash card design, not formed, sort of like a really big card design here. So I'm going to use a rectangle to represent that. So I'm just going to draw this across, let's say this is 7 columns, and I'm going to grab a copy of this text I'm going to use my right square brackets to bring it to the front. Let me copy the text here. So I'm not copying the entire text box, I'm just copying the text. That feels a bit short. I'm going to paste again. Okay. And I'm going to need a copy of the button. So I'm going to copy this button, and what I'm just doing is using the copy of the text box to make it easier to paste. When you paste on Figma, it tends to paste it wherever it feels like it. So whenever I want to just paste it in a specific area, I'll just copy an element that is there and just replace it using Ctrl Shift and R. And I'll just let me increase the width of this button so it's wider. Once again, no real dimensions, we are just creating a rough draft. Alright, so that's it for this section. Finally, we're going to create a footer section. If you have a footer section in your assets library, you can go ahead and use that, but I'm just going to quickly create a very rough version of a footer section. Let's start with a rectangle. I'm just going to have one. I'm going to bring this up closer, and I'll reduce the height of this frame, something like this. Next, I'm going to add a text, so I'm just going to type logo, and I'm going to change the size of this to 32, and I'm also going to make this the width bold. Let me just kind of place it around here. You know what, let's use a different color for this. We'll be using that same default color throughout for the, how will I say this, for all rectangles. Let's give this a different color, so I can change this color. I'll change the fill to white. So the color of this is 686967, just in case you want to use exactly the same color. I'm going to create another copy of this text. This one we're going to reduce to 13. I'm going to change the width back to regular. I'm going to also use lorem ipsum to just generate let's say just one sentence, and I'm going to reduce this. So we have our imaginary law firm's logo and tagline. Next, I'm going to, let me use this, bring this here. I'm going to change the size of this to, let's say 16, and this is going to be quick links. I just want to change the resizing to auto width, and let me change the size of this to 13. I'll create a copy, change the size of the text to 13. This is going to be home, so just a copy of the links that are going to be in the header section. This is home, about, practice areas, attorneys, and we have contacts. Let me just make the spacing. I want the spacing to be a bit smaller, so the spacing here is just 15. And I'm going to group this. Going to create another copy. Let me ungroup this. This is going to be get in touch, so we'll have our contact details here. And we'll just have email, phone number, and address. These are just placeholders. You can delete this other too, and I'm going to group. Just because I'm adding this doesn't mean that it will be in the final version of header section, footer section. It's just the blankets. How will I put it? I'm just creating, you know, just placeholders. These are all placeholders. That's why I said if you have a footer section in your assets library, you can go ahead and use that. Here I'll just, let's insert some icons. So I'm going to run Iconify. I'm going to search for Instagram, LinkedIn, let's use this one. I'm going to, let's say Facebook. And finally, let's see Twitter. Although it's X right now, using Twitter makes it easier to find the actual X icon. You can still use the old Twitter logo, that's fine. Let's change the dimensions of this to 25 by 25. I just use Alt-V to align them vertically, change spacing to 20, just bring this closer, and then group this. What I'm going to do is move this last one all the way to the end, and then let me group this too. I'm going to select all of this, not much, and I'm going to distribute horizontal spacing in the alignment tab. Maybe move this up a bit. Let's create the final part of this, which is just going to be that little bit of text, sort of like a disclaimer, you know, terms of service, legal, privacy policy. I'm just going to copy this text box, exit the group, because I don't want to paste it inside the group. So I'm just going to paste it here, and we're going to have, let me create another copy on this side. We'll get back to it. We'll get back to that. So I'll just make this lorem ipsum. This is going to be our business name. So it will be courtesy of the law firm's name. And then this is going to be privacy policy. I want to make this the resizing of the text auto width. This is terms of service. And then finally we have legal. I'm going to move this to the edge, and I'm just going to select all of that and group once again. So we have this very bare, there isn't that much detail in our footer section in this one. So I'm just going to reduce this just a little bit. Going to select all of this and group, and we are done with the placeholder for our footer section. We've also created the wireframe for our homepage. Once again, I know I moved very fast, but what we are going for is a general layout. Don't worry too much about the dimensions, even the sizes of text. We're just creating a guide, a visual guide for our design. Let's now create the next one. So I just clicked on F, tap, and I just created the last frame I used, which is the desktop frame. I'm going to select this page, Ctrl Alt C to copy properties, Ctrl Alt V, so we can use the same layout guide and the same layout guide and layout guide settings. This is going to be about. I'm going to increase the height of this. Let me grab a copy of this header section, paste it here. Next up, I'm going to need a rectangle. So once again, click on R, insert a rectangle. And I'm just going to place it right around here. The height is, well, let's say 160. It's 160 for me anyway. I'm going to insert a text, and we're going to write the title, the heading of this page, which is about. I'm going to change the size to 64 and place it in the middle of this rectangle. Let me grab a copy of this, change the size to 57, and I'm going to, let me use lorem ipsum. I'm just going to generate one sentence. That's even way too much. I'm just going to make it 4. Let me bring it up. You know what? I'll just reuse this one. Just change the size of this text box to 18. Let's generate another set of text. I'm going to use lorem ipsum again. Let me use 4 sentences this time. Let's see how that looks. This ended up being a bit shorter than what I would like. I'll just copy what I have and paste. So we have a total of, I just wanted the text to look, it looks a little too uniform for me. So we have a total of 8 sentences in this text, in this text box. I'm going to create another copy of this, and let's grab a copy of this card and bring it here. Let's create 3 more copies so we can have a total of 4 cards like that. I know how do I explain this? You'll notice that here I'm putting about, so I know I'm working on the about page, but all other places you really can't tell what this is referring to because it's all lorem ipsum text. I didn't just randomly create it. I already have a layout, sort of. I've already created an outline. So before I create a project, I'll decide how many pages do I want my website to have. This one, I wanted it to have 5. If you wanted to have 4, what pages will you have? Okay, when it has this number of pages, what content is going to be there? Normally, how I tend to get those, this will provide, when you use your layout, this is in, not in English, okay. We have the heroes section. I provide practice. So this you are saying, okay, in the home page of this website, there is practice areas. So it actually makes sense. So, okay, we can even see it here in the layout. It makes sense to have your practice areas because that's what your clients are coming for. So you just put it there. Then you put an introductory section. Do you want to put a blog section? In the About Us page, what will you put? A brief introduction to the company, introduce them to your team, what are the awards they've won, things like that. So whenever you are creating it, when you look at other websites or other website design, it kind of provides a guide on what you should add. Contact pages are one of the most straightforward to make. Just put contact information, put forms, messages, social media contacts and things like that. So when you are creating it, when you are doing your research, you just kind of look at other designs and see, or you could just even use AI to ask ChatGPT or Cloud or whatever you use, and they tend to give a general outline. But typically, I just kind of know what I'm working with. When I'm working with maybe restaurants, I know what I'm doing. When I want to do a certain website, I already kind of have an outline in mind that I'm following. So even though you're not seeing the actual subheadings here, I know what is going there because I created an outline even before I started this process. I'm going to bring a copy of this I just want to reduce this. Next, I'm going to need a copy of the image, so I'm just going to grab one from the home page. This is going to be a brief introduction to the attorneys before you go to the meet the attorneys page. I'm going to copy this, exit so I don't paste within the group, and paste. And once again, Figma pasted wherever it felt like it. I'm just going to extend this. I'm going to select this. Let me group it and create another copy. I'm going to select this to create another set of copies, so I will have a total of 5, and I'm just going to create one more copy here. So we have this. I think I'll need this. I'll create a copy of this text. I'm going to change the resize so it's auto width, and all our text is on a single line. And I'm going to insert a rectangle here like this. Let me bring it up. I'm going to try to divide this into 3 equal parts. I'm going to insert a line next, so I'm going to click on L and then shift so that it's going to stay straight, and I'll just try and place it in the middle of the gutter and just bring another one here. Next up, let's insert an icon. I'll just run iconify. I was thinking of copying, but let's just run iconify. Once again, I'll just use the building icon, bring it in, close this. Let me change the color to black so that we can see it, and I'll change the size. Let's do 75, and I'm going to place it, let's see, here. Let me grab a copy of this text. I'm going to copy it, exit, and to make it easier to paste, I'm just going to create a copy of that and then replace the text there. I'm going to reduce the width and then change the alignment of text to center. I'm going to create 2 more copies like this. Okay, we're done with this section. I'm just going to group it. I'll need a little more space. Let me copy this subheading and paste it. I didn't want to paste it there, but it is what it is. And I'll just reduce the height. You know what, let me grab a copy of this text from here and align it to the 6th column. Just trying to, okay, and then just extend it like this. And I'm just going to create a copy of this text again. Just increase the width so everything is on a single line. I'm going to grab a copy of this text, extend it. Maybe I'll just reduce the number of text, the amount of text, so we can have everything on 4 lines. Yeah, something like this. Finally, I'm going to grab a copy of the footer section and align it. Alright, we are done with the about us wireframe. Let me zoom out so you can see the entire thing. Yeah, that's the about us page wireframe. I'm going to create another frame. I'm going to click on F, and I'm just going to tap so we can get the same. Well, for me, the last frame I used, I'm going to select this frame, Ctrl Alt C, and then Ctrl Alt V to paste properties. This page is practice areas. So okay, I'm going to select this entire section. Let me see, even with this, I'm going to copy that entire section and then paste. Let me get closer so you can see what I'm doing. Let me change this to practice areas. I'm going to remove this subheading and just bring this text a little to the top here. Let me increase the height of this frame. Although we have 8 practice areas, I'm just going to do 3 so we kind of get an idea of the design. I'm going to let me grab a copy of this. I know I deleted the other one earlier, that's fine. And next I'm going to need a copy of this image placeholder. Let's see that. I'll just make this a little wider, and I'll insert a rectangle like this, and I'm going to send it back using my left square brackets. I'm going to grab a copy of this text and just bring it here. I'm just going to write 1 with a period, and I'm going to make the size 100, let's say 120. Now just kind of place it here. I'm going to grab a copy of this also, bring it here, and next up let's insert a line. So I'm going to use L. Under this subheading, create a line. Next up is a text. I'm going to create a copy of this text, reduce the width till it fits. Let's say, let me just increase the width of this line. I'm holding shift while I do this so that the line doesn't move around. Okay, this looks good enough. So this is how our practice areas will look like. So this is number 1. I'm going to, I need more space. I'm going to create 2 more copies, 1 and 2. This I'm going to have to move things around. I'm going to start with this. Deselect the image and just move it to the side. I know we can't see the other side, but that's fine. Move the image to the other side like this. So I'm just going to select the number, the subheading, and the line so that I can move it to the left. This one I'm going to make 2, and this one I'm going to make 3. So we're going to have 8 different practice areas. When we're creating it, we'll put those sections. Instead of recreating this part, I'm just going to grab a copy of those last 2 sections in the previous page, and finally we're also going to grab a copy of the footer section, and I'm going to reduce the height of this. Then I'm going to zoom out, and yeah, that is the practice areas wireframe. Let's create the next page, which is media attorneys, and I'm going to just click on F, click, and once again it's just going to create the same frame I used last. select this frame, Control Alt and C, select this one, Control Alt and V to paste properties, copy and paste properties. I'm just going to select this entire area, bring it here like this. Let's change the text to meet the attorneys, let me use our attorneys, and this is also going to be the same thing. Let me rename this. Let me just name it the same what I had in the header section, so attorneys. And this one is going to be very straightforward because it's similar to this one. We're just going to kind of represent what our design will look like. We don't have to do it for all of them. I'm going to start with an image placeholder, and I'm just going to have this here, and I'm going to, let me extend it all the way to the edge of the frame, and I also want to get it to the center. I believe the center should be is 1440, so it's 720. The half of the frame, I'm just going to have this here. Next up is going to be a rectangle. Just going to draw one, have this here, and then let's grab a copy of this subheading text, bring it over this rectangle. I'm going to use my right square bracket to bring it to the top. Let me just reduce this. Next, we're going to need a line. I'm going to use L, create a line, and I'm going to grab a copy of this text box, bring it here. I'm going to use my right square bracket to bring it to the top. And we're going to have the bio or description of the attorney. So we'll have the image, the picture of our attorney, and then their bio. I want to just make it slightly longer. So I'll just copy the last two sentences and just add that. I'm going to need a button, so I'm just going to come over here, copy this, and paste it here. So once we have this one representing one, we want to have a sort of checker pattern where we'll have them alternating. So image, if the image is right on the first one, the next one the image is going to be, if the image is on the left on the first one, the next one is going to be on the right, and so on and so forth. I'm going to grab this entire section, create a copy, and bring it here. And that's it. I'll just add some extra text so it doesn't feel empty. So let me just use this. I'm going to copy this, just create one more copy. So I isn't too empty, and I'll grab a copy of the footer section. And yeah, that's it for, let me zoom out. That's it for our attorney's page. Our final page is going to be the contacts page. It's going to be very quick. It's just text all the way through. I'm going to just change this to contacts, and I'm going to copy the properties. I'm going to copy the properties, Control Alt and C, and then Control Alt and V. And I'm just going to, let me start by copying this entire section, bringing it into this frame, and I'm going to change this to contact us, and I'm just going to select this. We just want to fill up this page so it's not empty. So we'll have, like, let's see, 6 sections of this, 6 sections like this. So that's 2. I'm going to create another 2 and another 2. I'm going to just add a rectangle over this, let me see, the middle 2, so it doesn't look too boring. The actual contact page has more details, but you know, let's just keep things simple. I don't want to spend too much time designing something in the wireframe. Just going to paste that there and grab a copy of the footer section. And yeah, that is it for the wireframe. Once again, I know that I kind of rushed through it. This is a visual guide where we just know, oh, this is how when I was creating it, oh, this is how I want this section to look. Like I said, I already have a general outline I'm going with, so for each section I was just deciding how I'm going to design it, and then I'll now like say, oh, my wireframe. And the wireframe may go through changes. What we start with may not be what we end with, but that's how it tends to go. But anyway, we are done with the wireframe. We can now go into creating the actual web pages. For this next part, we're going to duplicate this page. If you have limited amount of space, let me say you're using the free version of Figma and you can't create more pages, you can still do this part in this same page, but I like to keep things separate. I'm going to rename this moodboard and wireframe. And I'm going to duplicate this page, so right click, duplicate page. So once again, all you need to do is duplicate this, come down, or you could even start from scratch if you want. I'm going to rename this the web pages, and I'm going to select the moodboard, delete it, select this image placeholder and delete it. Let me grab my style guide and then come back. So this is the style guide for this project. I'm going to go through each one of them, so I'll show you the typography of all of these text as well as the colors. The way I've written it out here is how you're going to save each style guide, each text style, and also the colors, so that whenever I'm referring to it by name in the project and I'm mentioning like this is what you're going to use when I want to change typography of a text, you know what I'm referring to. You can either follow along in the video, pause the video, or you could also check the description box below for all of these details. Let's start with this first one. This is law firm logo, and the typography for this, the font name is Cinzel Decorative. The weight is regular, size is 24, the line height is 32, letter spacing is 0px or 0%, anyone would just 0. This is law firm practice, and the font is Baskerville old face. Weight is regular, size is 128, line height is 137, letter spacing is 0. This is law firm heading. The font name is Baskerville. Weight is regular, size is 55, line height is 64, letter spacing is -0.25 px. Next is law firm subheading. The font name is Baskerville. Weight is regular, size is 45, line height is 52, letter spacing is 0. This is law firm title. Font name is Baskerville. In the weight, we're going to use Italic. Size is 24, line height is 32, letter spacing is 0. Next is law firm hero body. The font name is Garamond. Weight is regular, size is 24, line spacing is 32, letter spacing is 0.5. Next is law firm name. The font name is Garamond. Weight is bold, size is 24, line height is 32, letter spacing is 0. Next is law firm header. The font name is Garamond. Weight is regular, size is 14, line height is 22, letter spacing is 0px. Next is law firm body. The font name is Garamond. Weight is regular, size is 18, line height is 24, and letter spacing is 0.5. Next is law firm card heading. Font name is Garamond. Weight is bold, size is 18, line height is 24, letter spacing 0.5 px. Next is law firm body small. The font name is Garamond, weight is regular, size is 16, line height is 24, letter spacing is 0. Next is law firm footer heading. The font name is Baskerville. The weight is regular, size is 18, line height is 24, letter spacing is 0.5. Next is law firm footer body. Let me just get a bit closer. Law firm footer body. The font name is Garamond, sorry. Weight is regular, size is 13, line height is 16, letter spacing 0.4. Next is law firm card heading 2. The font name is Baskerville, weight is regular, size is 24, line height is 32, and letter spacing 0.5. So you go ahead and just save all of this in the typography tab, and when we're going through our project, this is how we use it. When I refer to a certain text style, you know which one I'm referring to. For colors, this one we're going to save as law firm background. The color is just white F 6 times. This one is law firm primary. The color is 2E 3B 4B. Next is law firm on primary. The color is E9 ED EC. For law firm line, the color is going to be 2E 3B 4B. However, you're going to change the transparency or opacity to 40%. So the final one is law firm gold, is B8 967D. Once again, all of these details, all of the settings for this typography and their names are going to save them with, including the color styles. We are going to have all of that in the description box below. So go ahead and save all of this typography. I think just in case you don't know how to do it, I'm just going to show you. So select, let me just demonstrate with the logo. So under typography, I'm going to select these 4 dots where it says apply styles. I'm going to open it, select this plus icon and create style. And I'm going to save it as law firm logo. And that's it. So you save it with the same text here. Let me do the same for color. So under fill, where it has these 4 dots, I'm going to click on it and then also click on this plus icon, and I'm going to name this, what is it, law firm background. And yeah, so go ahead and save all of this. I'm going to save them, both the text styles and color styles, and then we're going to come back and start working on our first page, which is the home page. So I have saved all of my text styles as well as my color styles, and I've brought in this image we're going to use for this particular page. The link to a GitHub repository where the links to all of these images, the text, and as well as the text will be in the description box below. I'm going to, let me delete this. I'm going to bring in this image. I'm going to change the width to 1350. And I'm going to change the height. Let me crop it. I'll double click so I can crop it. I'm going to reduce the height to 720. Like this. And I'm just going to close that dialog. And I'm going to center this image. I'm going to use my left square bracket to send the image to the back so it's at the bottom of everything here. Let's now change our focus to the header section. I'm going to group this. I'm going to select this logo placeholder text, and I'm going to change the typography. Typography is going to be law firm logo. And I'm going to grab the name of our business, our law firm, which is Lex and Trust Law Firm. So disclaimer, every text in this video, this business is not a real business, it's AI generated. If there's any similarities to actual businesses or people, it's just coincidental. Everything here is AI generated. So this is my disclaimer I always add in all of my videos like this anyway. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste, and I want the logo to be in 2 lines like this. So it's going to have legs and truss is going to be on top, law firm is going to be at the bottom. Let's make this a frame and change the padding on the left and right to 0. Change the padding on the top and bottom to 0 also. I'm just going to move it so it's on this edge. Next, I'm going to select all of these 5 items. I'm going to change their typography. Typography is going to be law firm header. I'm going to select each individual one and make it a frame. So make it a frame using Shift and A. I want us to format them together. Now that each one is a frame, select all of them, change padding on the left and right to 0, change padding on the top and bottom to 0. I'm going to move it here. Let me change the spacing between all of them to 35. No, let's make it 40. It feels a bit close. Yeah, that looks better. And I want to change this areas to uppercase. That's the only difference. I'm going to select the spacing has changed. No worries. All right, I'm going to select all of this, make it an auto layout. So Shift A. So since the space between them was 40, the gap is currently 40. That is what you should have. I'm just going to move it so it's on this edge. Then select the logo, make it an auto layout as well. The gap is currently set to auto, leave it as it is, but for spacing, for the alignment, align it to center. So you should have something like this. You know what, I'm looking at it and I'm trying to figure out what I like better. You know what, let's leave it at align top, because when it was at the center it looked kind of odd. This one is just much larger. The size of this text, it should be, let me see, I think I didn't change the size. It's 24. So it looks, just leave it like this, just align to the top. If it doesn't look nice to you, you can align it to center, but I'm going to leave it at top. Let's now change our focus to this text. We can just remove this rectangle, we'll just create the frame from scratch. Select this text, change typography to, this is going to be law firm heading, and I'm going to grab the text here, which is protecting your rights, securing your future, and I'm going to paste it here, all uppercase. I want to extend the length of this text because let me see, protecting your, I want it to be on 3 lines because it just felt kind of odd having it on 2 lines. So I'm just going to change it like this. So though it doesn't really matter, the width currently is 714, we're going to create a frame from it. I'm going to just make it a frame, and we are going to change the padding on the left. Let me expand this. The padding on the left is going to be 95. The padding on the right is going to be 60. The padding on the top and bottom are both going to be 35 and 35 respectively. Let me bring it up. Let's select this text, and the width should be fill container, and then select the frame. The width should be hug contents, the height should also be hug contents. Let's now add a fill. So go over to fill, we're going to select this, and I'm going to change the, let me use this, we're going to use law firm primary. for the text, we're going to change the fill of this text to law firm background, and I'm trying to, so what we are going to have here, you're going to, let me just align the text, not the frame, align the text to the edge of this layout guide. And when you have, like currently for me it's 23, yours might be different depending on how it is, but what you should be focusing on is aligning this text. So although I was aligning the edge of the text, the actual text box is 2px to the right, so I'm going to move mine 1 2, and now it's 25 from the edge. Just the width of my own frame is 860. So once again, just align the text box to the edge of the layout guide. That should be what you're focusing on. I'm going to select this text. I'm going to change typography of this text. I'm going to go over to typography. This is going to be law firm hero body. Click on that. Let's grab the text for this section. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste. And what I want is to align the text to the edge of this text box, not the frame, just the edge of the text box on top. Next up is going to be this button. We can actually reuse the button, so I already have this. I'm going to select the text within it and I'm going to change typography to law firm button. This is body. I'm trying to find the, alright, I was trying to find my button typography, but then I realized I didn't actually have it in my style guide, neither did I save it. Sorry about that. Once in a while it just happens that I will miss one thing because there is so much. The when you're checking, if you use the typography settings in the description, it's already going to be there because I'm going to make note of it. The font name is Garamond, the weight is regular, size is 16, line height is 24, letter spacing is 0px. It's actually the same size with a different typography we're going to use. That's why I kind of skipped over it. But anyway, sorry about that. There's supposed to be another typography named law firm button. That's why I was looking for it and I didn't find it. So I'm going to select this text and I'm now going to use the one I just saved, which is law firm button. This button has a padding of 10 on the left and right. That's fine. 10 on the vertical spacing, top and bottom is 10. That's also fine. I'm going to just grab the text for this and I'm going to paste. I'm going to select the button. I'm going to change the fill. The fill of the button is going to be law firm gold and the color of the text is going to be law firm background. Let's now select these 3 items, make their spacing 25, and then I'm going to group this. Let me zoom out. Now let's space out these elements. I'm going to check, so it's currently 51 for me. The space from the top of this frame and this image should be 65, so I'm just going to move it till I have 65, and the spacing between this, that's this header section, and the top of this image should be 15. So I'm going to move that up. So the top of this header section and the top of the image is 15. Select this header section and then this section, spacing should be 85. Let me go through that one more time. So you're going to start with this image and the spacing between the top of the image and the top of the frame is 65. Your focus is going to change to the header section and the distance between the top of the header section and the top of the image is going to be 15. Then select the header section, and this group and the space should be 85. Let's run our prototype view. Alright, this is our hero section. I'm going to change the scaling option to fit width. So this is our hero section, and yeah, let's go back and make some changes to it. I'm going to start with this. The color contrast is a bit harsh, so I think I'm supposed to use so the text should be law firm on primary, and let's add a shadow to this frame. So select this frame, not the entire group. Let's go to effects, and then we're going to add a drop shadow, add a second one. Let's work on the one on top first. The X position is going to be 0, the Y position is going to be 1, blur is going to be 2, spread is 0, and the opacity should be 30%. So these are the settings for the drop shadow, the first drop shadow. And this second one, X is going to be 0, Y is going to be 1, the blur is going to be 2, spread is going to be, okay, let's leave the spread as it is. We're going to change the color to 15, and we're going to have this really soft shadow. It's just very soft. It just kind of elevates it a bit. Let's go back to our frame, and yeah, this is what I was going for. I didn't want it to be just flat on the image. All right, that's it for the hero section. We can now move on to the next one. This section is going to be a very brief introduction. I'm going to select this subheading, and I'm going to change the typography to law firm subheading, and I'm going to grab my text. This is who we are, and I'm going to paste, and I'm just going to align it to the center. Next is this text. I'm going to change typography to law firm body, and I'm going to grab the text. I'm going to copy it and paste. I'm going to reduce the width of this text so it fits on just the middle, the center 8 columns. Just exclude the first and last 2 columns. You can save this button as a component and then reuse it from your assets library, but I tend not to do that because I'll always make changes upon changes, and I just feel like I'm better off creating another one because it's very straightforward. And second of all, I always consider buttons as part of my prototype stage. So I'm going to just copy the button from that section, and then I'm going to reuse it here. And I'm going to just copy this and then paste. I'm going to select this, select all three, make it an auto layout, go over to gap. Let's change the gap to 20, not 25, 20. Yeah, that's it for this very brief section. We'll look at it when we finish this section, which is practice areas introduction. I'm going to start by ungrouping this. Let's start with this text. I just want to make sure it's on the edge of this first column. Go over to typography. I'm going to change this to law firm subheading. Let me grab the subheading text, which is our practice areas, and I'm going to paste. Next, I'm going to need another text box. I could just copy this. Let me change typography to law firm body, and I'm going to grab this text. I'm going to copy it and paste. Next up, let's create our card. Let me just ungroup this. I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to insert an icon. So right click, and I'm going to go to plugins, and I'm going to run Iconify. I'm going to search for briefcase, and the icon I want to use is from the bootstrap icons. I'm going to use this one. Let me just grab it and bring it into our frame. While it's selected, before I lose it, I'm going to change the color to law firm gold. Change the width to 55. Next, I'm going to select this line, the dimensions under width, which should be 225, and I'm going to change the stroke color to this law firm line. Select this heading. We're going to change it to law firm card heading, this one. I'm going to also change the typography of this one before we bring in our text. This is going to be law firm body small. Let's grab our text for this section, and this is going to be corporate law. I'm going to paste, and I'm going to copy this and then paste. I want the width of this to be 244. Alright, let's now use this to create our frame. Select all of these elements, the icon, the line, and the two text boxes. Make it an auto layout. The alignment should be top left, and I'm going to change the gap to 10. Next, let's add a fill. So go ahead, add a fill. We're going to change the fill color to this law firm on primary. Okay, the gap, the padding on the left and right, I'm going to fix this in a moment. I'm going to make 19, top and bottom I'm going to make 10. Let me expand this so that it's on the width. So this text should be set to fill container. So the padding on the left and right is 19, the padding on the top and bottom is 10. So this is our first card. We're now going to use it to create the other cards. So I'm going to copy it, select these other cards, and replace. Let's now work on the second card. Let's start with the icon. So select the icon, right click, and we're going to go to plugins, iconify. This one is going to be scales, or is it scale? And what we want to use is, let me see, game icons. That's the pack it's from. Yes, this one. So we're using scales from game icon. Now it's advisable to use the same icons from the same pack. However, the icons you want to use may not all be in the same pack. That's when you will now be, switching between different icon sets, and you just have to find ones that just go together. So in this one, we're going to be using icons from separate packs. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to use this replace icon, and it's going to replace it with the same color and dimensions. The width is 55, so we don't need to change that. I'm going to come here, and I'm going to change this heading here, and then the body text for this is going to be the text, paste. Next one is this, select the icon, right click, plugins, iconify. This one is going to be lock, and we don't even need to search for it. We're going to use this one from material symbols, lock sharp. So select it, replace icon, close. Let's go over this. This heading is intellectual property, and I'm going to paste, and I'm going to select the body text for this, copy, paste. I would prefer if this stayed the same height, although you could leave it like this because the text have different lengths, but I would prefer if it was longer. So I just increase it But if you want to be more, say you want to just be sure, you can increase the padding on just the bottom, but I don't want to start going through the process of trying to figure out what the actual padding is, so I just increase the height of the entire thing. Let's move on to this one. I'm going to, let's start with the icon. I'm going to start with the icon, right click, plugins, iconify, and we're going to search for family, and we are going to use this one. So this icon is from Material Symbols Family Restroom Sharp. That's the name. So it's from Material Symbols. That's the icon pack. We're using the sharp one, and I'm just going to replace icon. Let's grab the subheading. Just in case you notice I'm not changing the colors of my text, or I'm changing colors on some things, I'm not changing others. It's because, say for contrast, I need to know what this frame looks like. Just change the line on some other things, but others I'll leave and I'll change after we're done. So when I'm done creating all the elements, I'll go from top to bottom and change it. It just tends to save me time, because instead of changing the color of each individual element, you are changing the colors of multiple items at once. I'm going to grab the body text, copy it, and then I'm going to paste. So I use Ctrl A to select all and then paste, instead of having to double click multiple times. I'm going to select this icon, right click, go over to plugins, run iconify. This one is going to be house, and I should be able, okay, this is the icon I want to use. It's from game icons, and it's this house icon. I'm going to select it, replace icon. Let's grab the heading for this card. I'm going to copy it, paste, and then I'm going to grab the body text, and then I'm going to paste. Once again, I want to make sure they are all the same height, so I'm going to do this. Let me just make sure. So the height 282, 282. I want this to all have the same height. Let's work on this icon. Select this icon, right click, go to plugins, search for building, and the icon I want to use is, I'm trying to see if I'll be able to find it. Okay, I'm not finding the one I want to use. Let's open the icon sets. It's from this last one, is it Vardin icons, I think. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to replace icon. I'm going to close that. Let's copy this. This is employment law, and I'm going to copy this and then place. Let's work on this one next. I'm going to select this icon, right click, run iconify. This one is going to be scroll, and I'm going to use, let me see, this one. So this one is FA, from the icon pack is FA solid, so it's the one with sharp corners. This one has rounded corners. It's this one. Replace icon, and I just want to, it didn't change the width, so which let me change the width back to 55, and I'm going to grab this subheading, or this heading for the card, and then I'm going to select all of this and then paste. I'm going to increase the height of this frame. Finally, let's do the icon first. right click on the icon, plugins, iconify. Let's search for ambulance. And the icon set is Fontisto, this one. Let's replace icon. I'm going to change the width to 55, and I'm going to copy this and then copy the text and paste. I'm just going to increase the height. Let me zoom out. You know what, I'm going to change this icon again. Let me use a different icon. Let me search office, and I'm going to use the same Vaadin icons. I'm going to use this one instead. Replace. Alright, I prefer this one much better. So we have all our cards. Finally, we need a button. If you save the button as an asset, say a component, and then you have it in your asset library, you can go ahead and reuse that button. But once again, I'm just going to create my own. Not create, just reuse the one that I already have. I'm going to change the text in the button. Oh, I didn't have it here. It's supposed to be, I'm adding it here so that when I upload it to the repository, you're going to have it in yours as well. Explore our services. I'm just going to copy that text and then I'm going to paste. Okay, let's go back to the top, and now we can work on this. Let's select all four, make it an auto layout. Select these four auto layouts, then select these three and make the spacing 20. The spacing between these two is 24. Typically, what I tend to do with images or cards like this, whatever I have in the gutter, whenever I have repeating elements, say cards in this situation, whatever I have in the gutter, I'll always put at the bottom. There's no real reason to it. It just always looks more uniform, because if I make it 20, it's going to look a bit narrow here and it's going to look a bit wider here. So I just found that using the same gap width and having the same spacing between the two elements tend to make it look more uniform, in my opinion anyway. But you can do it however you feel comfortable. I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to make the spacing 20. You can make these two frames themselves and then make the entire thing a frame, or you could group it. You know what, let's make it frame. So I'm going to select this to make it a frame, and then select all three, make it a frame, or you could have just grouped the entire thing. But anyway, we are done with this. Let's take a moment to look at it in the prototype view. I'm going to open this tab. Let's scroll down. So this is who we are. This is a very brief introduction to our imaginary business, imaginary law firm, and this is our practice area. So it's more of an introductory section, because we're going to have a dedicated practice areas page. But anyway, that is it for this one. Let us move on to the next section. I'm going to come over to this one on group. Let me start with this subheading. I'm going to change the typography to law firm subheading, and I'm going to grab the text for this, which is what our clients say. Next, I'm going to select this text box. You know, I could also select this one. Change the typography to law firm body, and I'm going to select these quotation marks, and I'll change the font to Baskerville Oldface. Size is 64 and line height is 72. Let's now move all of this. So this first one, how do I explain it? I'm just going to move this down. This first one is just going to be, you know what, I could have just there's no need to do all two at the same time. Let's do one and then we can reuse it for the second one. Select this text. Let me grab this quotation mark and bring it closer. Select this text. Let's make the width 375. Let's bring in our text before we finish up that process. I'm going to select this text and paste. Let's change the alignment of text to left. And I'm going to grab this quotation mark, and same with this, just kind of position it so it's touching the text box, and the quotation mark is just, let me see, above, let's say above this. I won't say above, just kind of where it is now. And I'm going to grab this one and make sure it's also touching the text box, but this time it's more aligned to the bottom of our text box, if that makes sense. I'm now going to select all of this and group. As for its position, I'm going to count 6 columns, so the end of that one should be on the 6th column, on the edge of the 6th column. Then this one is going to be at the beginning of the 7th column. Let me grab my text. I'm going to copy that and then I can paste. So we have our 2 client testimonials. I want to make the spacing between these two 34. I want to make it a group. So what I'm going to do is select this, supposed to be, I want to move the subheading. Alright, the spacing between the subheading and the text is 20. You can use an auto layout if you want to make this to a frame. Then I'm just going to group it, or if you want to use a frame, let me ungroup it. Select this two, make it a frame. Select this two, make it a frame. It just tends to, oh, it seemed like, since I made it a frame, I realized that this one wasn't even centered. So sometimes that's just how it tends to work out. One just works out better for the other. In case you want, let me say you wanted to work on another layout, it makes resizing easier, but in any case, whichever one, I'll delete the group, leave the frame, or whichever one you use, anyone is fine. We're not going to look at it in the prototype view. Let's move on to the next section. So this one was something I wanted to add in the original, but decided to remove when I was designing it. So we're just going to delete that. Let's start with this one. I'm going to select this subheading, go over to typography, change it to law firm subheading. Select this, change typography to law firm body. Let's go to our notes. I'm going to grab my text. I'm going to copy it and then paste. Let me change the resizing of this text to auto width, and I'm going to grab the body text here and I'm going to paste. I want this to be bullet point, so I'm going to type the hyphen again, space, and it's going to give us a bullet point. Hyphen space. Okay, and I want it to go from the 2nd to the 5th column. So I'm going to move this so it's here, move this one so it's also aligned to the 2nd column, and increase the width like this. Select this to make it a frame, change the gap to 20. Next is going to be this. I want this one to go from the 6th column to the 11th column. So it's going across a total of 6 columns. But we're just going to exclude this last one. and the width should be, I believe, yeah, the width is 588, so it's going across 8 columns. I'm going to use this reuse this rectangle. So you can reuse a rectangle to create a frame. What Figma tends to do is whatever dimensions or effects, colors, to use the color as a fill, the dimensions for the dimensions of the frame, even effects, Figma will just use it to create the frame. So sometimes when I don't want to start figuring out what spacing goes where, I'll use a rectangle and text separately and button, then make it a frame when I'm done. So I'm going to start with this. I just want to create another subheading text. I'm going to go to typography and I'm going to use law firm subheading. Grab our text, which is this one, and I'm going to paste it. What I want to go for in terms of spacing is I want it to go across 4 columns. So the rectangle itself is going across 6 columns, but the text and the button within this will go through 4 columns. Let's grab this. Let me change typography and add text before I resize it, because the text is much shorter than what we have here. I'm going to change typography to law firm body. I'm going to grab the text. I'm going to copy this, paste, and I'm going to reduce it so that once again it's just going across 4 columns of our layout guide. Finally is this button. I'm going to copy a button here. If you have a button in your assets library, go ahead and use it. I'm going to replace it here, and I'm going to extend this so it's going across 4 columns. This is the text, so I'm just going to copy and paste the text. For the height of this rectangle, I want it to be 650. All right, let's now clean this up. Let's start with the color of this rectangle. So for fill, go to fill, change it to law firm primary. Select the text, change the fill to law firm on primary, and I'm going to select these 3 items, change their spacing to 30, and then I'll just try and find the center of this rectangle. So I'll move the text till all of these elements are in the center of this rectangle. While they are all selected, select the rectangle, make it a not layout. And that's how I tend to create things, even instead of trying to figure out, oh, what spacing, what padding, what fill, what dash. Just use a rectangle, and then when you're done, create a frame with it. I'm going to select these 2. I'm going to use Alt and V, so I align their vertical centers. Or you could use the button, which is this one, so align vertical centers, and the shortcut is Alt and V. I'm going to select these 2 and group. Let's look at it in the prototype view. So I'm just going to click on this, and it hasn't loaded yet. I'll give it just a moment, and yeah, we have testimonials, which is just 2 testimonials for our clients, and then we have this very brief why choose us, and then a call to action section, contact us or schedule a free consultation. Anyway, that is it for this one. We are now going to work on our this footer section. I'm going to select this group, just ungroup it. Let's start with this. I'm going to ungroup it as well. I'm going to change the typography of this logo to law firm logo, and I'm going to copy. This is going to be name of our business. I'm just going to copy and paste that. Next is going to be, we're going to need 3 text boxes here. Let me change the typography first. I'm going to change it to law firm footer body, and we're going to need 3. I'm going to copy this, so paste this here, copy the second text, paste, and then finally I'm going to copy this and then paste. I'm going to select all of these 3 text boxes, change the resizing for the text to auto width, and I'm going to change the spacing to 15, make it an auto layout. Then select, while this frame is selected and this one is selected, let's I just want to make sure I'm going to make this one itself a frame before I make it an auto layout. So I'll select this, make it a frame, 0, the padding for the left and right is going to be 0, and the padding on top and bottom is also going to be 0. I'm going to select this to make it a frame, make the gap 20. Let's now move on to this one. Once again, I'm going to ungroup. You know what, I could just select this and this, ungroup, because I want to change typography. I'm going to select all of these 3 and I'll go over to typography and I'll change this to law firm footer heading. Okay, I'm going to need to change the resizing of the text to auto width. Let me select these 5 items here so I can change their typography. Go over to typography. This is going to be law firm footer body. Let me see, this one is supposed to be about us, practice areas. I'm going to make A an uppercase. I'm going to make this meet our attorneys, and this one is contact us. Alright, what we're going to do is make each individual one an auto layout, so a frame, sorry. I'm going to make this using Shift A, make it a frame. So we're making each individual text box a frame. Then select each individual frame. Let's change their padding. Padding for the left and right will be 0. Padding for the top and bottom is also going to be 0. While we have all 5 frames selected, make it an auto layout. And the gap is currently 15 for me. If yours isn't, you can go ahead and change it to 15, but it's supposed to be 15. I'm going to have this frame selected. Select its heading. There's no need to make the heading a frame. The gap is currently 15 for me. I'm going to change the gap to 20. Let me move on to this one. I'm going to select all of these 3 text and I'm going to change the typography to law firm footer body. Let's go and grab our, we've already done quick links. This is office hours, so I'm going to copy this text, paste, and I'm going to copy the first set of text, paste. Let me change the resizing to auto width. I believe these ones too have the same issue, so I'm just going to quickly change all of them to auto width. I'm going to select the second one, paste, and then finally copy this and I'm going to paste. Now select these 3 text boxes, make it an auto layout. Gap, okay, gap is set to 15 for me. If yours isn't, go ahead and change it to 15. And I'm going to select this to make it an auto layout. Gap should be 20. Finally is this one. I'm going to select this. We actually don't need this. We are just going to use text boxes instead of using icons. So I just created a copy of that text box because I'm going to need one. I'm going to change the typography to law firm footer body, and we are going to need 3 copies of this. Okay, the resizing for the text is auto width because it's going to make pasting easier. So the first one, connect with us, that's the heading for this section. I'm going to grab the text. So instead of using icons, we're just using text and specifying the social media platform. I'm going to copy it. If you want to add icons, you can, but I won't. And then I'm going to copy the final text, which is Facebook paste. Now select these 3 text boxes, make it an auto layout, change the gap to 15. Then while this is selected, select the heading, make it an auto layout, make the gap 20. We are almost there. I want to just add all our elements before we start spacing and changing other details. It's going to be this last section. I'm just going to move it up a bit. Let's see here, because I'm going to have another extra text at the bottom. I'm going to ungroup that. While I'm okay, I just wanted to check that the resizing was auto width, so that when I paste, it's not going to squish our text. I'm going to, okay, as they're already selected, I'm just going to change typography very quickly to law firm footer body. And I'm going to create one copy of this, just this one. Okay, so I'm going to grab this. So this is a text here, so I'm going to paste this. Let me see, privacy policy, terms of service. Okay, it's already what I want, but I'm just going to make this uppercase. Privacy policy, terms of service, legal. And let me grab the final set of text, and then I'm going to copy this and then Ctrl V. While this is selected, just use Ctrl and I, and we're going to italize the text. So we're going to make it an italic version. So even when you have, you see that it is showing as law firm footer body, but then so you can just save a version of your typography. If you want it bold, just save a normal version, then you can make it bold later, or you could make it bold before you save it. Either way, you can still use Ctrl I to italize, Ctrl B to make it bold, Ctrl U to underline text. Those are the 3 I typically use. I don't know of any other ones, but typically I tend to use those 3 whenever I need it. So I just made that text, I just italicized the text. Let's select these 3 text items, make it a frame, and we're going to make the gap 30. No, not 25. Let's make it 25. And I'm going to bring it so it's on the edge of this layout guide here. Select this one, just the this courtesy of this one here. Just make it a frame again, and then while this frame selected, select this one, make it a frame. So the gap for this should probably be auto. Just leave it as it is. The gap in this frame as it is, make it 5. All right, let's now space this ones. I'm just going to make sure that this is on the edge of our layout guide, and I'm going to move this so that it's also on the end of our layout guide. I'm going to select all 4 of them, come over to alignment. First of all, align top so they are all the same level, and then distribute horizontal spacing. I want to see their spacing from the top of our rectangle. Let me close this. So since they're already on the same level, whenever I want to move them, I'll move all of them at once. I just want to change the height of this. We're going to reuse this rectangle. I'm going to make the height 330. I want these items to be 35 from the top of the rectangle. So the top of all of these sections of our footer section are going to be 35 from the top. So I can just pick one of them, 25, and I'll just pick and move up. It's currently 36, so I just need to move it one more time. So for me right now, it's 35 from the top of the rectangle. For this one at the bottom, I want it to be 10 from the bottom. So it's currently 7 for me, and I'm going to move it till it's 10. So this all 4 items is going to be 35 from the top of the rectangle, and for this one at the bottom, it's going to be 10 from the bottom of the rectangle. We can now select this, and let's just group. The color looks odd because I'm just reusing the color. You know, I would have loved, I would have said, oh, let's go to the top and start from bottom, but it feels kind of odd. Let's just change the fill. I'm going to start with this rectangle. Change the fill to law frame primary, and then select the entire group. Under selection colors, you see this white color. The white color is all the text we use. So select it and then change it to law firm on primary. And there we go. Now let's I want to say let's see what it looks like in the prototype view. I know it's kind of far down because there's a lot of space. There we go. That's loaded now. This is a very simple footer section design. You can save this as a component in case you want to create a wireframe, because when I'm creating a wireframe and I quickly just need to rush through some things, I tend to save something like this and then use it in my wireframe. So if you can just save it to use it in maybe other projects, maybe just a wireframe, anyone will do. All right, let's go back to the top, and then we are going to change colors. Then we'll go back to the top again and then change spacing. Let's start here. Go to where it says selection colors, and I'm just going to select under here. I'm just going to select this, and we are going to use law firm primary. Then I'm going to select this one. So we have a bunch of colors here. This is what I mean, that sometimes I'll change colors, sometimes I won't. So where it's black here, I just know that it's probably some sort of text. If you want to be sure, just use this and it's going to show you what is using that color, and you can see it's just this text that is using it. But this is why I tend to change colors based on sections. It's just easier. Sometimes I may even select the entire frame, although that may lead to some mistakes. I'm going to select that and change this to law firm primary. Then select this one. Once again, go to selection colors. So these two selection colors I know is from the button. So this black one is from the subheading and also the body text. I'm just going to select that, change that to law firm primary. I'm going to select this entire section. We have a bunch of colors. Once again, this black is the text. I'm going to use law firm primary. So whatever is black, just change it to law firm primary. This section, everything is all black. I'm going to change this to law firm primary. Select this. We have a bunch of colors. Whatever is black, change it to law firm primary. And this one we just recently changed. Let's go back to the top and then start spacing out the elements and sections in our page. We've already spaced out this hero section, so there's no need to change anything there. Select this image and this section, make the spacing 60. Select this section. I'm just going to scroll down, select all other sections, including the footer section, make the spacing 150. And now I can resize this. I just realized something. I didn't change the fill of our frame, even though we've changed all other colors, and it's going to be the same color because it's still the same white, but it's good practice to just make sure you are using a color style just in case you want to change this in the future. So I'm going to change the fill of the frame to law firm background. All right, with that we are done with the home page. Let's see the entire thing in the prototype view. I'm just going to scroll, give it a moment. Yep, so this is our law firm website home page. I'm just going to scroll, and yeah, that's it for this one. We're now going to move on to the about page. So I'm going to just select this section and delete. Select the header section. I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to zoom in. Let me start with this rectangle. I just want to make sure it goes across the edge of my entire frame, and I'm going to change the height to 180. Select this text. We're going to change the typography of the text to law firm heading this time. And this is supposed to be all uppercase. So all uppercase. I'm going to select this, align it to the center, select this to make it a frame. I'm just going to change the alignment back to right. Once again, this is a very quick way to make a frame without trying to figure out the padding left or right and things like that. So I'm just going to change the fill. So for the fill of the frame, we're going to change this to law firm primary, and then for the, I can just come over here under selection colors. I'm going to change this one to law firm on primary, or you could just select the text box itself and change the color of the text. Let's move on to this one. we're going to have two groups of text. I don't want to just delete it because some elements are going to help in our process of creating the other sections, so I just don't want to delete it willingly. I'm going to select this subheading, change typography to law firm subheading, and this one I'm going to change to law firm body, and I'm going to extend the width so it goes all the way through the 12 columns of our layout guide. I want to have 2 copies of this, so I have 2 of this. All right, let's grab our text. I'm going to grab my text. Oh, I need to go to the next page. This is the subheading here, and I'm going to paste, and I'm going to select this, copy, and then paste. I'm going to select this too. Let's make it a frame. Make the gap 20. Next up is our story. I'm going to copy it, paste, and copy the accompanying text and paste. Once again, select this to make it a frame, make the gap 20. Next is going to be this one. I'm going to select this subheading and go over to typography. I'm going to change it to law firm subheading. Let me grab one of these cards, copy it, and then I'm going to replace using Ctrl Shift and R. I was just making sure it's on the edge. All right, let's start grabbing our text. I'm going to come over here. This is our values. I'm going to copy this, paste here, and here I'm going to copy this, paste, and then grab the accompanying text and paste. Okay, I didn't have to reduce the height, it reduced by itself. I'm going to change this icon. So right click, go to plugins, iconify. I'm going to search for building, and I want to use, let me select icon set, and I want to use one from this Fluent UI systems icon, and I want to use this one that says building bank 48 field. So this one, I'm going to select that, replace icon, and I'm going to close. I'm going to select this, copy it, select this other tree, Ctrl Shift R to paste and replace. I just want to make sure that it's aligned to the edge. I think we have only one exception, which is this one. I'm just going to move it. All right, let's come back to this one. Let's start with the icon. I'm going to select the icon, right click, select plugins, run iconify. I'm going to search for handshake, and I'm going to use this one that is FA solid handshake. That's this one, replace icon, close this, and I'm going to grab my text, This is client commitment. I'm going to copy this. I think I have to resize the icon. It's looking a bit large. I'm going to copy this other text, paste. Let me see. I have to change the width to 55. Once again, I want them to be the same height, so I'm just going to increase this. Let's move on to the next one. I'm going to select the icon, right click, go to plugins, iconify. This one is going to be trophy, and the icon I want to use is this one. It's from grid icons. So I'm going to select that, replace. Let me see if it changed. Okay, change the size, so the width is currently 55. That's what we should have. I'm going to copy this, paste, grab the accompanying text, copy, and then paste. Final one, let's start with the icon. Right click the icon, plugins, then go to iconify. I'm going to search for targets. We're going to use this one, which is from Cute, and the name of the icon is target field. I'm going to select this, replace icon. Let me grab my text, copy this, paste, and then I'm going to copy the other text and then paste. Okay, so now I can just select all four, make it an auto layout, and then I'm going to select this to make it an auto layout as well, make the gap 20. All right, we've done a bit. Let's see what it looks like in the prototype view. I'm going to open this, move to the next page. I'm going to give this a moment and it should load. So we have our header section, this section, yeah, our value section. All right, let's go back to our design tab and work on the next section. For this next part, we're going to need some images, so I just went and got them. Once again, this will all be part of the GitHub repository, so don't worry about that. The links for all of these images will be there. We're going to, let me start by formatting these images. I'm going to select all of them. Let's change their width. So let me see. The width is supposed to go across 4 columns, and I'm going to check the width of this. Width is 384. So I'm going to select all of them, change their width to 384, and I'm going to change their individual heights to 550. So I'm going to crop this, double click the image so I can crop. I'm going to move this up. I'm holding shift while I do this so I don't move it to the side. I'm going to close this dialog. I'm going to select this image. We're going to select this. I'm going to first of all double click and then increase this outline to 550, and then hold shift, and I'm going to grab this image. I'm going to zoom in. Let me increase it. I'm holding shifts, maybe even a bit more. All right, so I think let me see. I'm trying to find an alignment that works. I think I can even increase it. I don't want to overdo it. All right, this looks good. We have this second image. I'm going to close that. Next, we have this image. Once again, this one doesn't require much. 550. I'm going to zoom out and then move this image up just a little bit. Going to select this image, reduce it to 550. I'm going to raise this one up. Finally, select this one. I have to increase to 550. I'm going to hold shift and then crop this image. Maybe I could even increase it a bit more. I'm holding shift. Let's say something like this. This looks fine. All right, let's go back to our frame and start working on it. I just want to make sure it's aligned to this edge. Okay, this is a group. I'll just create a copy of this. Select this one. Change typography to law firm subheading. This one is going to be law firm body. This one. I'm going to grab this subheading text, meet our attorneys, and I'm going to paste, and I'm going to grab the accompanying text and paste. I'm going to select this to make it a frame, change the gap to 20. As for its position, when we're done with this one, we'll put it in its appropriate position. I'm going to, let me start with this. You know what, I'm just going to ungroup and remove this image. Let me use the actual image. So the image for this first team member is this person. I'm just going to align it here. I'm going to reuse this text. Just want to make sure. Ooh, it would seem that I didn't crop my image properly. No, that's not what I wanted to. All right, this time cropped it properly. I'm going to select this and I'm going to change typography to law firm name. This is going to be law firm body. This one. Once again, it should be on the edge of the 5th frame. So it's going to grow the 5th column, sorry, and it's going to go across 4 columns. I'm going to select this too, make it an auto layout. Gap is going to be 10, and then I'm going to select this two, and the gap or the spacing is not a frame yet, it's going to be 20. While these two are selected, I'm going to make it a frame or an auto layout. I'm going to zoom out, copy this, select these other groups, Control Shift R to replace. Now we're going to reuse this one to bring in the image as well as the name and title of the other team members. Let's start with adding the name of this person. So I'm going to copy this and paste. Then I'm going to grab the short bio text and paste. Next up is the image for the next person. I'm going to Control Shift and R to paste and then replace. I'm going to grab her name and title and I'm going to paste, and I'm going to copy this and paste. I'm going to move on to the next person, grab the image, cut, replace, and I'm going to grab this text, the name and title, paste, and then I'm going to copy this and paste. Next up is this lady. I'm going to Ctrl Shift R to paste and then replace. I'm going to grab her name and title, paste, grab the accompanying text, paste, and then finally for our last team member, I'm going to copy or cut his photo, replace using Ctrl Shift and R, copy and paste, copy the text and paste. Alright, now that we have all of this, I'm going to start spacing. I'm going to select these two. I can just check. I just wanted to make sure that they are aligned. Select this text, or let's start with this. Select the image, not the entire frame, just the image and this text. Use Alt V, or you could use the button here to align vertical centers. So we're aligning this text to the center of this image, only the image, not the entire frame. And I'm going to select this two. Okay, the gap currently is already 20. It's okay. Okay, no, I was looking at the gap, not spacing. I want the spacing to be 20. Same with this one. Let me not get distracted by looking at the gap. All I need to do now is just get closer and then align this one. And what we're going to do now is select all of this and group. And this is just a short bio or introduction to our team members. I'm going to just check it out in the prototype view. I'm going to give this a moment and we're going to have our team members. So yeah, that's it. Although, okay, this is a short bio, therefore there has to be a button to take us to, typically whenever there's an introductory section, let's say something like this. Now this is our practice area, but there's a practice area page. Putting a button that is going to take the person to that dedicated page, or even here where it's a contact page, sort of a call to action to contact, you put a button to take them to the contact page. I think we'll be better off adding a button to also reflect that. Once again, if you have a button in your assets library, go ahead and use that. But for me, I'm just going to create that. So what I'm going to do is I created a copy of the text box to make it easier for me to paste. So I can change the text to Seafood Team, and all I'm going to do once again is select that section or this image, that section, Alt V once again, just to align it. And yeah, we have a call to action button that is going to take our user to, so when we have a visitor to our site, they want to see the entire team with their bio and everything, and they want to contact each team member they can in the attorneys page. Anyway, that's it for the Meet Our Attorneys section in the About Us page. Well, I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm going to start by ungrouping this. I'm going to select this subheading and I'm going to change the typography to law firm subheading. Let me grab my text and I'm going to copy and then paste. And I'm just going to align it to the center of the frame. Next up, let me start with this rectangle. I'm going to change the height of this one is supposed to go across. Since I didn't really care too much about the dimensions, I'm just going to increase it. The weight should be 1200, so it's going to go across all 12 columns. Height is going to be 375. Next up, I'm going to, let me create a copy of this text and let me change typography of this one to law firm card heading 2. let me grab my text. I'm going to copy and paste, and I'm going to grab the accompanying text. I haven't changed typography of this text box, so I'll just quickly do that. This is going to be law firm body. Then I'm going to paste my text. I want the width of these two text boxes to be 345, so that we can have equal spacing across all of them. I'm just going to come closer, and this I'm going to change the dimensions to 80 by 80. Let me also change the color because I'm going to replace this icon. So if when I replace it using iconify, it's going to change to match the color and dimension, so I can actually do that. I'm going to select these two texts, make it a frame, and I'm going to change the gap to 10, and then I'm going to select these two, make it an auto layout, and then I'm going to make the gap 40. So the alignment is center. That's what we want. And I'm just going to bring this down here. I'm going to copy this, and these two are not groups, so I would have copied and replaced, but they were not groups, so I'll just have to create copies of this. Okay, let me select this rectangle. I should just change the fill. I'm going to change the fill to law firm on primary, and these two lines, we're going to change the width to 290, and we're going to change the stroke to law firm line. Let's change this icon and then change copying and paste the appropriate text for these other sections. I'm going to select this, right click. I just realized something. I should have done this first before copying and pasting, because we are using exactly the same icon across all of the tree. I'm going to search for trophy, and we are going to use this one, the one we used before. Replace icon. Yeah, this is what I meant. I should have just, so I'll just do that. I'm going to Control Shift and R to paste and then replace. Let me grab the heading text for the second card. Going to paste, grab this text. I mistakenly copied. I want to press Control V, and then I press Control C, so I ended up copying the text that was there. So I just had to copy it again. I'm going to grab the text for the final one and copy and paste. Now for this part, we're not really going to have any specifics. Well, what I will do first is select the lines and the rectangle. I'm going to use Alt V to align their vertical centers. So we have aligned all of these three vertically. I'm just going to come here, and I kind of eyeballed the center of this gutter. I'm not going to say, oh, use this measurement or use this measurement. Just kind of eyeball the gutter after the fourth column, and also the gutter here. This one I think I'll move it a little bit. Okay, moving it a little bit to the left looks better. So just eyeball that. I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to use this one as sort of a guide to align it to the center. Then I'll align all of this to the top of the one I'm aligning to. Okay, let me use this one since it's the largest one. So I'm going to select the rectangle, select this one, Alt V. I'm aligning it vertically. So align the rectangle and these two lines vertically. When you are sure they are all aligned and straight, align this center one. This one is not currently in the center. I'm going to move it to the center like this. Now we're going to select the other two cards, and now you're going to align top like this. For this one, let's I'm going to move it once again. I'm just going to keep my eyes here, and I'm trying to kind of guess the center of the gutter. If you wanted to, you know, get a perfect number or things like that, you can. So let me see, it's 19, so I'll just do the same for this one. I'm just going to check. So this one is 19. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. And this one, I'm going to move it. I want it to be 20 from this rectangle. It's 16. All right, it's currently 20. I'm going to select all of this and group. We have one more brief section before we add in our footer section. So let's just quickly do that before we view it in the prototype view. Let's start with this. I'm going to change the typography to law firm subheading, and I'm going to grab the text, copy and paste. I'm going to change the resizing of this text to auto width, and I'm going to select this one, change typography to law firm body. Let's grab our text. I'm going to copy and paste. I want bullet points here, so once again we'll use hyphen and then space to get our bullet points. Final one. I'm going to change the width of this text box to 485. Now I'm going to select this to make it a frame. I'm going to change the alignment to top, and the gap is going to be 24. Now we're going to grab this entire section and align it to, let me just use Alt H to align it to the center, and then I'll just return it back to left. It's just a personal preference, no specific reason. I use Alt H, that's this one, so I had to move to the horizontal center of our frame. This other section we don't need. We didn't make it from the design to the final product. I'm going to copy this footer section, Control Shift and R to replace, and there we go. Let's look at the sections we've created before we finish up the spacing, colors, and then spacing. So I'm just going to give this a moment, and there we go. This is our recognitions and achievements, why choose us, of course, the footer section. Let's go back. So I'm going to, we already know that we've changed this one earlier, so just to make sure all of that is law firm primary, this we've already changed it. I'm going to select these two. We're going to change them to law firm primary. Next up is this. Most of the colors already set. Whatever is black here, just go ahead and change it to law firm primary. I'm going to select this one. Whatever is black here, change to law firm primary. Select this. So we have a bunch of colors. Same thing. Whatever is black here is probably the text. Well, it most definitely is the text. I'm going to change to law firm primary. Same with this one, law firm primary. Of course, the footer section is from the previous page, so no need to check that. Let's go back to the top and space all sections. I'm going to select this header section and this one. I'm going to make the spacing 10. Between this section and this one, spacing is going to be 60. I'm going to zoom out, and we can just select all the other sections, including the footer section. Spacing is going to be 150, and I'm going to get much closer and then reduce the height of the frame, and then I'm going to zoom out. All right, let's see the finished web page in the prototype view. So I'm going to scroll to the top. So we have this our top section. I'll just call it a hero section, or the top of our page. So we're just going to scroll down Yeah, this is our page. This is the highlights to mid-10. We're going to have a connection to the mid-10 page. This is the recognitions and achievements, why choosers, so on and so forth. All right, that is it for this page. We're now going to move on to the next one. For this part of our tutorial, we're going to need some images. So I've gone ahead and brought in my images. All of these images are part of the notes. I'm going to start by copying this entire section, so the header section and the title of the page. I'm going to come here, delete, and then I'm going to paste. We're going to grab the text for this one. Let me move on to the next page, which is practice areas, and they are in all caps, and paste my text, and that's it for that one. We're going to reuse this text here. I'm going to select it and change typography to law firm body. I just want to make sure that the text goes across all 12 columns. The length of the text, the width of the text goes across all 12 columns. I'm going to grab this text, select and copy, then paste. And I'm also going to need a button, so I'm just going to borrow one from this home page. If you have one in your assets library, go ahead and use that. I'm using this as a guide to paste the button because, pasting on Figma, you just sort of paste it anywhere. I'm going to move this closer, select this to make it a frame, go over to gap, make the gap 20. I'm going to zoom out. Let's now focus on this one. Change the typography to law firm subheading. Let me make sure that it's on the edge of our first column, and I'm going to, I didn't have the text. It's our areas. I'm adding it now so I don't forget. Areas of expertise. I'm just going to copy this and then paste. Let's now work on this one. I'm going to I can just delete this image. We're not going to need it. I'm going to start with this first. Let me bring it in. We're going to make this go across 4 columns. So I'm just going to reduce it. So our image is on 4 columns. As for the height, it's going to be 590. So what we're going to do is, this one is shorter than 590. We're just going to extend this. Double click the image and you have this option to crop. I'm going to extend that, hold shift and then increase this. I'm going to close that. Next up, this rectangle really doesn't have a specific length. As long as it goes behind the image, it's fine. So currently it's 870. We can just leave it like that. So if you're using that, as long as it's going behind, it's going from the edge of this column to where it's behind the image, anything within that is fine. So mine just happens to be 870. That's good enough for me. For the height, this one is going to be 475, and let me just change the fill height because it's going to get difficult to see this text. So I'll just quickly change it, then we'll change the color of the text before we even change typography. So under fill, I'm going to pick one of our color styles and I'm going to use law firm primary. I'm going to select the text, all of the text including the line, and I'm going to change their fill so we can see them. Well, don't select the line. Okay, yeah. Select the line. Sorry about that, because I was thinking in my mind line, but the line is not going to show if I use the actual line settings. All of this is going to use the same fill column. So the fill for all of this is going to be the on primary. Change for the line as well, change it to on primary. Oh, I end up adding a stroke. Just select the line and change it to on primary, because it ended up adding a stroke to the text when I didn't want stroke on the text. Now let's select this one. We're going to change typography. This is going to be law firm practice. This one is going to be law firm subheading. This one is going to be law firm body. Where is it? Okay, law firm body. So this, just make sure that the resizing is auto width for these digits. We're going to align it when we're done. So I'm going to select all of this. What we want is this text to run across 6 columns, and I'm going to reuse this one. So whatever subheading we have is going to run across 6 columns, and the body text, it should run across 6 columns. So just exclude this last column, and then your text should run across 6 columns like this. Let's now grab our subheading text and body text. Let me change the line, align it to this edge here, and I'm going to change the width of this line to 575. It's just going to be slightly shorter than the actual text. Let me grab the subheading, which is corporate law. I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to grab all the content for this one, copy, and then I'm going to paste. I'm going to select all of this with the exception of the rectangle. Make the spacing 20, and we're going to move it, and you can see that this entire text, both this subheading line, I'm just going to align it to the center here of this rectangle. Then this number, align it to the top of this subheading here. As for the spacing, it's supposed to be 11, and that way we should have the spacing between these two as 20. Let me just go through the spacing and alignment for everything so that you can kind of position it. We have this image that goes across 4 columns. The dimensions is just the width of the 4 columns is 384, then the height is 590. Then you have a rectangle. Mine is 870. You can even use 840 to do, as long as it just goes behind the image. That's enough. Then the height is going to be 475. You're going to have this subheading text, which is going to be aligned. Just count, if you count backwards, the 7th column. So basically the 6th column from the left or the 7th column from the right. Then you're going to have this line, make it 575 in width, so it's just slightly shorter. It's just a bit shy of this 6th column here, or this 11th column here, and then you have your text that is going to run across 6 columns. Make the spacing between this and this 20, align it to the center of this rectangle. Then your spacing between this and this should be 20, or the spacing between your image and this number should be 11. I'm just going to check one more thing before I move on. I want to make sure that this image and this rectangle are aligned vertically, and the rectangle moved. I don't want the rectangle to move, I want the image to move. So it's not working. So I'll just have to move it till I find the center, or I could just, to make it easier, I'm just going to group all of this, then group all of this. Then I can either just select these two and group, or I could ungroup and then group again. But anyway, just align all of this. When you align this, align it to the center of this one. We're going to redo the design here. Then we'll reuse this one for number for the other 3. Then we'll use this one because we're having 2 orientations. For this one, we can actually reuse elements from this particular one. I'm going to copy this entire group, so the group that has this number, all of this. I'm just going to select all of this and delete. I'm using the rectangle because it's going to make it easier for me to paste. And what I'm going to do is ungroup this first, and I'm going to deselect the number. I want it to be, so I'm moving the entire thing all together. I want it to be 20 from the edge of this rectangle. Now select this, let's change this to 2, and this time the spacing should change. Okay, it didn't. I thought it would change because 2 is, you know, larger than wider than 1, but it didn't, so we're going to leave it like that. But what we are going to change is the colors as well as the height of our rectangle. Select this rectangle, change the height of the rectangle to 530, and we're going to now change the color of the rectangle to law firm on primary. And now we're not going to say what's here. No worries, that's fine. I'm going to select everything here just by dragging my mouse over it, and I'm going to deselect the rectangle. And for now, I'm going to start by changing the fill to law firm primary, and then this line we're going to change this to law firm line. Since this is not an auto layout, we're going to do our spacing manually when we copy in our text. I'm going to copy this text and paste. Next up, I'm going to copy this and then paste. I want this text to be on 2 lines, so like this. I'm just going to move this again. Now I'm going to select all 3. Spacing is 20. Once again, I'm going to select all of this, align it to the center of that rectangle, select the rectangle, and then group. Now I can just delete this. Let me grab the associated image, bring it into our frame. The width is going to be, well, it's going across 4 columns. That's 588 if I'm okay, it's 384, or am I mistaken? It's supposed, okay, 384. I'm just going to 384 by 590. So I'm going to select this, increase the height to 590, and then I'm going to hold shift and then crop this image. Let me just move it a little bit to this side like this. Now I can select this rectangle and this group, Alt V to align vertical centers, and then I can group. Alright, now that we've done 2 of these layers, what we're going to do is alternative for the page. So what we use here, we'll use here the next time, and then when we're doing number 4, we'll use this one. Well, before we start that, let's look at it at least in the prototype view. So I'm going to go over to this tab, and I'll just give it a moment. It should load. So we have our practice areas. We have number 1, which is corporate law, and then we have number 2. So let's go back to our design tab, and we're going to reuse this too for the other sections. So I'm going to need way more space than I have here, and I'm just going to select this. I'm going to delete this number 3 since we're just going to create copies of 1 and 2, and I'm just going to move this down. Now I'm going to select 1 and 2, and then I'm going to create copies. We're going to have a total of 8 practice areas, so I'm going to copy 3 times. So we have 2 copies, we have 4 versions, 4 copies of number 1 and 4 copies of number 2. I'm going to come over here. Let's start with the image. I'm going to ungroup this to make it easier for me to add elements, and I'm going to select this image. The width is 384 and the height is 590. So I'm going to increase the height to 590, and then I'm going to hold shift and then expand this, and I'm going to focus more on this. Maybe I could just move it even like this, and I'm going to close the dialog. I'm going to cut the image and then Ctrl Shift R to paste and then replace. We can change this to 3. Let's grab the heading for this, which is intellectual property law. I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to grab my text and I'm going to copy and then paste. So this one is a bit shorter. I'll have to move the text, or I could reduce the height of the rectangle. Anyone would do. I'll just select the entire thing, move it down so that it all aligns, and then I'm going to group, and we are done with number 3. Let's now work on number 4. I'm going to ungroup this. I'm going to select this, change the width to 384 and height should be 590. So I'm going to increase this to 590, hold shift, increase the height, and I'm going to cut this image, and then I'm going to paste and replace. I'm going to change this number to 4, and then I'm going to grab the text, which is, so the heading is family law. I'm going to paste. I'm going to change the resizing of this text to auto width, and then let me grab the body text for this one. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste this. I'm going to just select all of this, make the spacing 20. Let me check the height of this rectangle. 475. I think 475. Oops, I changed the entire group. I wanted to change just the height of the rectangle. I'm trying to figure out if this is enough. Let me use 500. Okay, 500 is much better. So the height of the rectangle for this one is 500. I'm going to just realign it to the center and then select this group again. This one isn't aligned. Alt V to align it to the center. Is this one aligned too? Alt V, it's fine. Let's move on to number 5. Once again, I'm going to ungroup, start with the image. Width is 384. Height is 590. So I'm going to increase this to 590. And then I'm going to hold shift down and increase. Let me see. I want the focus to be more on the actual houses. So I'm going to move it like this. Close that. Cut. Control Shift R to replace. This is going to be number 5. And I'm going to grab the subheading, which is real estate law. I'm going to paste and then grab the remaining text, copy and then paste. So the length of the text was the same. I can just leave it as it is. I'm going to select these two, group it again. I'm going to focus on this image first. Let's change the width to 384 and the height is going to be 590. I'm going to increase and then I'm going to increase this so it fills this entire area like this. Yeah, this, maybe I'll move it a little bit. This looks fine. I'm going to cut the image and okay, number 5, this is number 6. I'm going to replace it here. Let me just ungroup it. This is number 6 and I'm going to get the text for this. I'm going to copy and paste and let me grab the body text. I'm going to copy this and paste. I'm going to have to select these 3, use the spacing of 20. What did I use in this one? This is 500. Let me see, this one is 475. Let's try 475 here. Oops, I wanted to change just the rectangle. Alright, 475 works. It's even a bit large, but that's not an issue. I'm going to bring this down and then I'm going to select this group, this image, Alt V to align it vertically and then group. We're almost there. We're in number 7 next. Once again, select this image. 384 is the width and then for the height it's 590. And then I'm just going to hold shift down, increase the size of this, and I'm just going to have the focus on this hands and document, and I'm going to close that. Select the image, cut, and I'm going to paste and then replace. Let's change this to number 7 and I'm going to grab the heading or subheading, whichever one. It's subheading. I'm going to grab the body text. I'm going to copy this and then select everything and then paste. The text was the same, so no need for changes there. Finally, let me see the length of this one. Maybe I should copy. You know what? I'm going to copy number 6 again and I'm going to replace it here. Let's go over to this image. I'm going to change the width to 384 and height is 590. And then I'm going to hold shift down, increase the height of this, and this actually looks good. I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm going to cut this, come back here, replace. This is number 8. Just going to change that, and I'm going to grab the text, the subheading text, paste. Let me make this the resizing auto width, and let me grab the text, copy, and then paste. This time the text size and everything was fine, so there's no need to make any changes. And yeah, so we are done with number 8. Instead of looking at it in the prototype view, let's just finish it up, then we'll look at that. I'm going to, you know, I'm not going to need this, so it's this one I'm going to need. I just want to make sure it's on the edge of my layout guide, and I'm going to select this, change typography to law firm subheading. This one we're going to change typography to law firm body, which is this one. I'm going to grab this text. I'm going to copy it and then paste, change the resizing to auto width, and I'm going to grab this text, copy and then paste. I'm going to, this text should run across all 12 columns. Finally, I'm going to need a button. So I'm just going to grab this one, a copy of this. I'm going to copy it. And I want to use this to help me copy and paste this. I'm going to replace, this is schedule a free consultation. That's the text for this button. I'm going to select all of this, make it an auto layout, and the gap is going to be 20 across the board. Finally, we need a footer section. So I'm going to copy from the previous page, Ctrl+Shift+R to paste and replace, and we have our footer section. Let's go back to the top to check out the colors. I know I was doing a lot of changing while designing, but we still have some things to change. Let me start with the fill of the entire frame so I don't forget. So we'll change the fill to law firm background. I'm going to select this one. So the color here that is black, this is going to be law firm primary. This, I'm going to select this. This is also going to be law firm primary. I'm going to select this one. So this one is fine. This one is also fine. So I'm just going to check from here. It's going to be this section that has an issue. I'm going to select that. The reason I'm not bothering with this one, these are copies of 1 and 2. If 1 and 2, their colors are fine, then the rest are going to be fine. You can never be too careful, so I'm just going to check. Once again, all our colors are fine. Final detail is spacing. So since we copied this one and pasted it directly, we didn't replace it. It's going, the spacing, I know that the spacing is going to fine. So we're going to select this and this. Spacing is going to be 60. Then select this two. Spacing is going to be 150. This one is going to be 20. So between this subheading and this section, it's going to be 20. And then I'm going to zoom out, select the remaining sections, including the footer section, all of it. And then the spacing is 150. I'm going to, oh, that's very lucky. I just need to reduce it by 2 pixels. And I'm just going to reduce that. Alright, and with that we are done with the practice areas page. So let's look at it in the prototype view. I'm going to open this, give this a moment. It's probably going to load or update rather. And there we go. This is our practice areas page, and I'm just going to scroll down so we can look at it. The same layouts, the same 2 layouts used over and over. Yeah, that's it for this page. We can now move on to the next page, which is the attorneys page. For this page, we're going to need the images of our attorneys again from the Meet the Team section in the About Us page. I'm going to start by selecting all of this and deleting. And then I'm going to select this header section and this frame, copy, and then I'm going to paste. Next, I'm going to select this text and I'm going to change the typography to law firm body. I'm going to extend the way so it goes across all 12 columns. Let's go to our notes so I can grab, okay, I haven't changed the title of the page, so let me quickly do that. I'm going to paste this title. This is Meet Our Attorneys, and I'm going to grab the text. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste. I'm going to need a button, so I'm going to copy this one, and then I'm going to replace it here. No need to change the text, it's the same text. I'm going to make it a frame, and the gap is going to be 20. I'm going to select this. Okay, we're going to change the typography of this to law firm subheading. I'm going to copy this and then paste. All right, next I'm going to bring in my first image, which is this one. I'm going to align it to, it's going to go across the half of the layout guide, which is going to be 600, because if you went across the entire layout guide, it's going to be 1200. The width is going to be 600 and the height is going to be 680. So I'm going to select this image and crop it to 680. Let me zoom out, and I'm going to align it like this. Close this dialog. Unlike before, what I want to do, while we're going to be spacing it while we work, so that it's just for this top section. So I'm going to select this. We don't need to check the spacing of that one, that's fine. This and this is going to be 60. I'm going to select this too. It's going to be 70, and I'm going to select this and this, make it 25. From here out, we'll just be building as we go. I'm going to reuse this rectangle. I'm going to align it to the top of this image, reduce the width so it's also 600, and I'm also going to reduce the height so it matches this one. So the dimensions is 600 by 680. We're also going to reuse all of this text. I'm going to, let me just change the fill of this rectangle. We're going to use law firm primary. Then with the exception of this, okay, we can still see the line. So I'm going to select the text boxes and I'm going to change their color to law firm on primary, and I'm going to select this line, and I'm also going to use law firm on primary. I did it separately because if I had selected stroke, just like it happened last time, it's going to add a stroke to the text, and I didn't want that to happen. All right, let's change typography of this. This is going to be law firm subheading. I'm going to create a copy of this text. We're going to need another one, and I'm going to select it, and I'm going to change this to law firm title. So this one is going to be body, law firm body. For this button, we're going to grab another one when we're done. I'm going to just grab my text and then we can build this. I'm going to start with our first attorney. I'm going to, oops, I'm going to paste his name, then his title. I'm going to paste. I'm going to select the bio, copy, and then paste. I'm going to select all of these text boxes and I'm going to make their width 460. Since we want to build everything from scratch, where we're going to build frame by frame and then use a rectangle as a background for the frame, that's why I'm changing the width of the text boxes. Select this line, change the width of the line to 460. That's actually longer than what I'd want. I want it to be a bit shorter than the text, so I just reduce it to 410. Let me grab a copy of this button, copy, and then I'm going to replace this text is book a consultation. Let me just copy it from here, copy, and then I'm going to paste. Okay, let's start with these two. I'm going to select both of these, make it a frame, and then make the gap 10. Then we're going to select this frame, this line, and this text, make the spacing 20, and then make it an auto layout. And then I'm going to align this one to the center, select this and this auto layout, and the gap should be 50. I'm not going to make it a frame, not yet anyway. I'm going to select this two, and then I'm going to group, because we're going to reuse this one throughout the entire page. I'm going to zoom out. Let me extend the height of this. That's a tad much. I'm going to select this one, just delete. I'm going to move these down. So we have 5 attorneys. So I'm going to select both the image and this group. I just want to make sure that there is no space between them. 3, 4, and 5. Now select these two, grab these red dots, and you can swap places. I'm going to do the same for these two, select both of them, and now you can swap their places. Then we can change the content of this one. So what I can do now is I don't even need to ungroup it, just select the group, and you can actually just make it a frame. So you can convert a group to a frame, so you don't have to worry about the spacing for the top and bottom, left and right. Just have a frame. Let's move on to this one. Let's start with the image. The image is 600 by 680, and that's what I'm going to do here. So I'll change the weight to 600 and crop this to 680. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to hold shift so I can zoom in on this image, maybe a bit more. This looks fine. I'm just going to close that. Now I'm going to cut the image and replace it here. Now we can grab the bio for this one. I'm going to ungroup this, or you could leave it as it is. Copy the name and paste. I'm going to copy title, paste, and then copy, paste. No need to change the button. So I'm going to select this frame, this rectangle, make it a frame, and it will just, yeah, that's it. Let's now do this, the same for this one. Let's start by changing the width to 600. I'm going to double click and then reduce the height to 680. And let me see. This actually looks fine, so I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to select the image, cut, and then replace. Let me grab his bio. Let's start with the name. I want to ungroup first. Let me just ungroup. And paste, I'm going to grab title, I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to copy and then replace. Now I'm going to select this frame and this rectangle, make it a frame. Let's move on to the next one. Change the width of the image to 600 and the height is going to be 680. I'm going to move this image up. Let's select this. This is fine. I'm going to close that. Select the image, cut, replace. And I'm going to copy the name, paste, title, and I'm going to paste, and then for this, copy, and I can just select the entire group, make it a frame. Final one, change the width to 600 and I'm going to change the height to 680. And I'm going to zoom out. Maybe I'm just going to just crop it a little bit. Let's select this, and then I can cut, replace. Then we can change the text, starting with the name, then the title, finally the bio. I'm going to copy and then paste. Select the entire group, make it a frame. Let's go back to the text and format. Let's go back to the top and format our text just a little bit. So I'm going to select this section where it says specialization, Control B, make it bold, select experience, make it bold using Control B, bio, education, notable case, and then contact, make it bold. I'm going to do the same for this one. Specialization, make it bold, experience, bold, bio, bold, education, bold, and then notable case, and then contact. I'm going to do the same for this one. Experience, I keep pressing Ctrl V by mistake. Next is education, notable case, and then finally we have contact. Let's move on to this one. Make it bold, experience, bio, education, notable case, and contacts. And then finally we have this make it bold, experience bold, bio, make it bold, education, notable case, and then finally contacts. And yeah, that's it. Let's just finish up our page before we see how it looks like in the prototype view. I'm going to reuse this text, so I'm going to change the typography to law firm subheading. Let me change the, okay, there's no need actually. I'm just going to copy this text and then paste. I'm going to reduce the width of this text box so it's, let's say, like this. So for me, let me just make it 335. I'm going to grab this, let me reduce the width. I'm going to change the width to 555, and typography is going to be law firm body. Let's grab our text. I'm going to copy, paste. Once again, I want bullet points, so hyphen and then space. And I'm going to select this to make it a frame, change the alignment to top, and we're going to make the gap 24, and we are going to align this to the center of our frame. I'm going to select this and just delete it. I'm going to grab a copy of the footer section, copy that, replace it here. I'm going to select either this image or this frame, this and this, make the spacing 150, and I'm going to reduce the height of this frame. Let me go back to the top. All right, we have some elements we have to change. So for the fill of our background, change it to law firm background. And I think it's only in this one we're going to change something. So here where it's black, change that to law firm primary. And I'm going to select the frame again. Okay, that means it's this text that will be the issue. I'm going to change that to law firm primary. Let me check. Oh, that means it's this. You know what, I'm just going to change it here. I would advise you not to do it. I do that sometimes where I'll just change the entire thing where I'm sure that it's not going to affect my design. But anyway, we'll fix the colors, and now we can view this in the prototype view. I'm going to run this and it should update, so I'm just going to give it a moment, and this is what we have. So I'm just going to scroll through so that we can see the attorney's bios. So yeah, this is the attorney's page. We are done with this, and now we can move on to the final page, which is the contacts page. I'm going to copy these top two sections from the attorney's page, select these two sections, delete it, select the page, and then paste. And I'm going to grab the text so we can change the heading. This one is contact us. I'm going to copy it, and then we can change the heading. I'm going to select this text, change typography to law firm body, and I'm going to grab my text, copy, and then paste. I'm going to just check and then extend it so it goes across the width of our layout guide. I'm going to need a button, so I'm going to copy and then paste. I'm going to change this text. This is schedule a free consultation. Select this to make it a frame, and we're going to change the gap to 20. I'm going to have to delete some of this. I'm going to reuse this text actually. It's going to be aligned to the second column. All right, let's change typography of the subheading. Typography to law firm subheading. This one is going to be law firm body. This one. Let me grab the text. I'm going to copy this and paste. I'm going to grab the text, copy this, paste. I'm going to make the resizing auto width, and I'm going to get this to closer, make it a frame, gap is 20. Let's just make a very quick form. I'm going to start with a rectangle, and this rectangle, the width is going to be from, so you just put it at the end of our layout guide, and we're going to run it across 6 columns or till it, and also half of the gutter, so it should be 600, right? Yeah, it should be 600, because if we run this rectangle across, it's going to be 1200, and the height is going to be 655. I'm going to just, let me change the fill. I'm going to need a text, so I can just grab this one. I'll have to bring it to the front, so I'm going to use my right square bracket to bring to front. Let me change the color so I can see it better. This is going to be law firm on primary. Then typography, change it to law firm subtitle, subheading. I'm going to grab the text, it's contact form, copy and then paste. Let me change the resizing of this text box to auto width. Next, I'm just going to create another copy of this, change typography to law firm body. Let me create another copy before I paste the text. So I'm going to grab this text, copy it, paste. Oops, I just want to reduce, let's see, to this. So mine, the width is 409, maybe 410 if you want to use the same thing. I'm going to create 4 more copies, so we can have a total of 5 of this text box. This, let's grab the text. This one is full name, copy, paste. This one is email. I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to copy this and paste, copy the next one, which is subjects, and then finally copy this one and paste. Next, we're going to need lines. I'm going to just draw a line. I'm holding shift so it doesn't move. Let's change the stroke, make it law firm on primary. The width of this line is going to be 345. I'm going to create 3 more copies. Okay, no, we don't need this. What I'm going to do, I'll first make this one a frame. The length is going to change for these other ones, or we could just make it that instead of aligning the text, we're going to align, will I say, align the lines of lines to the left. It makes sense when I just, let me select this two, make it a frame, and the alignment should be bottom gap 3. Make the individual ones frame, alignment should be at the bottom. Same with this one, make it a frame, gap is 3, and we have this frame, gap is 3. For this section, we're going to need a rectangle, so I'm just going to quickly draw it here. The width of this rectangle is going to be 345, the height is going to be 100, and I'm going to add the stroke, remove the fill, change the color of the stroke to law firm on primary, and what I want is, let me make the spacing 3, and I want this rectangle to have similar alignments to this, so I'm just going to grab the rectangle till it's at the bottom, select this two and group. I'm going to select all of this and I'm going to align them to the right and then make the spacing 10, and I'm just going to group it. Finally, we're going to need a button, so copy this button and I'm going to paste it here. This is going to be send message. This is going to be aligned to the edge of this rectangle. As they are now, select all of this. Let's align them. That means I have to realign this one again. No worries. I'll just, okay, it was the ones on top that moved. I'm going to select all of them, change the spacing to 20, and then I'm just going to move this entire content around till they are aligned both to the center and the middle, horizontally and vertically. And I can just select all of this and group, and we have this very simple contact form. I'm going to need this text, so I'm just going to bring it up a bit. Let me change the typography, starting with this one. I just want to make sure it's on the edge of my layout guide. Change the typography of this to law firm subheading, and this one is going to be law firm body. We're going to need this for 4 different sections, so I can just create 3 more copies. Let's start with this one. I'm going to copy this subheading text, paste. Let me change the resizing to auto width, and I'm going to grab the text, paste, and I'm going to need a button. So what I'm going to do is copy this text, copy this button, and paste here. The text is book a consultation, and I'm going to paste. I'm going to select all 3, make it a frame, gap is going to be 20. Next, let me grab my text. This is connect with us, copy, paste. Let me make the resizing auto width, and I'm going to copy this text. I'm also going to make the resizing auto width. Select this to make it a frame. Gap is going to be 20. Next, FAQs. I'm going to copy this, paste, resizing auto width, and I'm going to copy the text, and let me make the resizing auto width. Then I want this to be bullet points, and I want the answers to be under the text. So I'm just going to use my space bar to kind of move it. It's not equal, but it's good enough. Space, going to use my space bar. Finally, bullet points, space bar. And that's it for this one. I'm going to make it a frame. Gap is 20. Final section is this. I'm going to copy, paste, make the resizing of the text auto width, and I'm going to copy and paste. Resizing is auto width. Select the two, make it a frame. Gap 20. We're going to need a copy of our footer section, so I'll just go to any of the previous pages, Ctrl+Shift+R to paste and replace. Let's go to the top. You know what, let's just select the entire frame. Instead of going through it one by one, let's do it all at once. That's changing the colors. Under fill, change the color to law firm background. Selection colors, whatever is black, just change it to law firm primary. That's what I do sometimes. Alright, let's now space out the different sections. So I'm going to select this to, spacing is 60. For this, I need to group this to, I'm going to select this to Alt V to align their vertical centers, and then I'm going to group them. I'm going to select all of this, including the footer section, and spacing is going to be 150. I'm going to select the frame and increase the height like this. Okay, and that is it for the contact page. Let's look at it in the prototype view. I'm just going to come here, give it a moment. It should load in a moment. And yeah, this is our contact us page. I'm just going to scroll down so we can quickly see it. And that is it for all the web pages. The final part of this tutorial is creating a prototype for this entire web page, this entire website. For this part, if you have limited amount of pages, I can't create a new page, you can just copy it or even do your prototype here, but I like to keep the web pages and the prototypes separate. What I'm going to do is select this, duplicate it. This web pages, rename it prototype. You can delete the style guide. We don't need this in this step. What we're going to need first is a frame. So I'm just going to just make a random frame here. And let me come over here. Before I copy this header, I want to do something. Select this frame that has all of the page links. Click on enter so you can select all of them at once. I want to change the padding on the left and right to 8 and the padding on the top and bottom to 2. Alright, I'm going to exit, select this entire header section, copy it, come to this frame and paste it. I'm going to ungroup it select this frame, control and backspace to ungroup so that you have just the individual frames. I'm going to bring it closer. Then we're going to grab our buttons because we're going to need it for our prototype section. So I'm going to start with this one. This schedule a consultation will go to the contact page. So I'm just going to grab a copy and paste. Next is learn more about us. This is going to go to the about page. Once again, I'm creating a copy so that it's just easier for me to paste and replace. Next is this one, explore our services. Copy that, return back to our frame. I'm just going to create a copy, and then we have go over to the about page, copy this seafood theme button. This one is going to go to the attorneys page. I'm going to, and finally we are going to copy one more. This one will just be an interactive button. It's not going to do anything or go anywhere, but when you click on it, you can interact with it. So I'm just going to select this, create a copy and replace. Next, we're going to create another frame because I want this one to be dark. I'm going to change the fill of this frame to just pure black. I'm going to go to the footer section and I'm going to select these quick links, copy it, and then I'm going to come over here and paste. Let me just bring it here. I'm going to change the flow so that it will be from left to right. Gap, let me make it 100. I'm just going to make it easier to space it out. Then I'm going to ungroup. Then we'll have the individual frames. I'll select the frame and I'll change the width to all contents. That should fix it. I just changed the flow so I'll have them from left to right. If you don't want to do that, you can just do it one by one. To make things easier, I'll just do this one separately because we're going to need the logo. I can modify the original, but yeah, I'll just create a copy of this one and replace. All right, let's I'll just give them spacing so it's more orderly. So I'm just aligning them and then spacing, giving them a spacing of 100. Spacing just 100. All right, I'm going to explain to you what we're going to do next. Let me just go through each one of the items or the links or buttons before I move on. So we have this logo. Just grab it from any of the pages. This, when you grab this frame, what I did is increase the padding on the left and right to 8, padding on top and bottom to 2. We have the home, about, practice areas, attorneys, and contacts. Those are the links in the header section. Then we're going to have 5 buttons. One that says schedule a consultation. This is going to go to the contacts page. We're going to have this one, learn more about us. This is going to go to the about page. Explore our services. This is going to go to the services page. Seafood team. This is going to go to the attorneys page. And this one is just going to be an interactive button. We're going to reuse it in the contact page. Then we have another logo. This one is for the footer. We have the home. These are quick links, about us, practice areas, meet our attorneys, and contact us. These are links in the footer section. What you're going to do is select this, Control, Alt, and K, or you can select any one of these items and then make it a component. I'm going to make each individual item a component, and then I'm going to rename it, and then I'm going to come back. You can just hold on for a moment so that I can do that, and then I'll show you what I named them as. All right, I've created all my components and saved them. This one I saved as header logo. This is header home, header about, same prefix, practice areas, attorneys, contacts. You can just look at it here. Next is, this one is contact button. This one is about button. This one is services button. This one is attorneys button, and this one is interactive button. That's the one that says schedule a free consultation. Next up, we have these. This is footer logo. This is footer home. Once again, all of them have the same prefix. It's just about, practice areas, attorneys, and then contacts. So this is the footer section links. Now we're going to create variants for most of this with the exception of two. I'm going to start with this one, create a variant. We'll just go through and create all of the variants before we come back and modify them. So once again, I'll stop recording, just create variants for everything with the exception of the logo. We don't need to create variants for those ones, just create variants for the others. Alright, once again, I've created all the variants. Now we can start modifying them. Let's start with this first one. For the header icons or the header links, we're going to add a field to the variant. So go over, select the variant 2, and then add a field. The field color is going to be law firm on primary. That's going to be the field. Select this one as well, add a field. Field is going to be law firm on primary. Next is this one, add a field, law firm on primary. Let's add another field. The field is going to be law firm on primary. Then this one, add the field, make the field law firm on primary. This one we're just going to change the field. So I'm going to detach this, and we're going to use a slightly darker shade of this color. We're going to use 997D68. I'm just going to copy this code so I can reuse it. I'm going to do the same for this one, detach this color style, and then use this darker shade. And then I'm going to do the same for this one. Let's now do the same for this one. Now this one we're going to add a third instance, a third variant, because we want it to be a normal state, a hover state, and a press state. So I'm going to add a variant. For the field for this one, change it to law firm on primary. Select the text, change the field of the text to law firm primary. So this one has 3 states. That's the only one with 3 states in this project. Let's come over to this one. This one, select the variant and then make sure you are selecting the text within the variant. Ctrl U to underline text. Same with this one, select the text, Ctrl and U. Underline the text with this one, select the text, not the variant, and underline, and then underline. Alright, now that we've done all of that, let's now start connecting all of these instances to their variants before we start connecting them to the page. Go over to the prototype tab, and I'm going to connect this to, and this is going to be while hovering, it's going to change to variant 2. The animation is smart animate, the curve is ease in and out, and we're going to leave the duration at 300 milliseconds. Let's do the same for this one. All I need to do is change the trigger to while hovering, and all other settings remain the same. I'm going to connect this to, same thing, just change the trigger to while hovering. Connect this to while hovering. Let's move on to the next one. Connect the 2 variants, and trigger is going to be while hovering. Same thing with this one. All settings remain the same, while hovering. This one as well, while hovering. Change trigger to while hovering, and then for this one, while hovering. Since this one has 2 states, we're going to connect the 2. This first one, the trigger is going to be while hovering. For the second one, it's going to be while pressing. All right, let's go to the final set of links, which is the footer section links. Same thing, we're just going to connect this. Trigger is going to be while hovering. While hovering, and then while hovering. All right, now we can start connecting the links to their appropriate pages. The icon will always go to the home page, so I'm going to connect it, but we are going to change the animation to instant. I'm going to close this, then connect this second one, the variant, not the original. I'm going to connect it to home. This is the home link. So once again, all settings remain the same. I'm going to connect about, the variant of about, to the about page. Next up is practice areas. Connect that to the practice areas page. I'm going to move this to the side to make it easier. Let me select the variant, connect it to attorneys, contacts. We're going to connect it to the contact page. For the buttons, this one is the contact button, so it's going to go to the contact page. So I'm just going to zoom out, connect it to the contact page. Learn more about us is going to go to the about page. So I'm just going to connect it. Next is the explore our services button, which is going to go to the practice areas page. And this one, see full team, is going to go to your attorneys page. And then, okay, that's the last one. We're not connecting that one to anything. Let's move on to this one. The logo, of course, is going to go to the home page. Then the home variant is going to go to the home. The about us is going to go to the about page. Practice areas goes to the practice areas page. Meet our attorneys. The meet our attorneys variant goes to the attorneys page. And then finally we have the last one, which is contact us, and I'm just going to connect us to, and we are done with all the connections we need to do. This is how I like to do mine, so that I can see all the connections at the top instead of them running across each other. Let's go over to the assets panel, and I'm going to open created in this file. I'm going to open prototype, and then we can have access to all of this. Let me select design. Let's now substitute these items for the ones we've modified. I'm going to start with this one, bring it here, and next is going to be the header home, about, practice areas, attorneys, and finally we have contact. Let's substitute this. I'm going to cut, select this, replace. I'm going to cut this, replace, cut this one, replace, practice areas, cut it, replace, attorneys, cut, replace, and then contact. I'm going to cut and replace. I'm going to zoom out, select the entire header section, copy it, and I'm going to select the header sections in the other pages, Ctrl+Shift+R, and now we'll paste and replace. Just to make sure, I'm going to click on enter twice so that I can see the purple highlights. That means those are components. Let's now let's do all of them at once. We can check it, but I want us to just substitute everything, and then we can check everything. This is going to be contact button, schedule a consultation. I'm going to cut it, no need to change the text. Wherever the text is different, we can change it. Learn more about us. This is the about button. I'm going to cut and replace, and this one, explore our services. I'm going to cut, replace. Next, this schedule a free consultation is also a contact button, so I'm going to use this schedule a consultation. What I'll just do is select this, copy the text, select this one, paste the text, and the width of this, let me see, 384. So I'm going to change the width of this to 384, and then cut and replace. I'm going to now work on this one. So we're going to grab the logo for the footer section. I'm going to cut, replace. Then for the links, we have home. Let me just grab practice areas, contact us, meet our attorneys, and about us. So let's substitute home. I'm going to select this, select the home, replace, Control Shift and R, cut. I'm going to replace. I'm going to cut this. No, I'm supposed to select. I know I'm mistakenly selecting the text, that's why I have to redo. All right. Meet our attorneys. I'm going to cut and replace, and then I'm going to cut this one, and then I'm going to replace. Just to make sure, I'm just going to select enter. Oops, I want to select the entire group, not just the rectangle. So this purple highlight means all our link has been added. So I'm going to copy this entire footer section, zoom out, copy the footer section for other page, Control Shift R to replace. Once again, enter again, and now I'll just check for this purple highlights to know that okay, we've copied what we need to. Next up is in the about page, we're going to add this button, which is see full team. I'm going to cut this and replace that button there. Next is going to be here, schedule a consultation. So this is going to be a contact button. I'm going to cut that, select the button, replace it there. I believe we should have another one. Yes, we have another one here. This is still going to be a contact button. I'm just going to copy the text and paste. So this is also a contact button. Cut this button, replace. I'm going to move on to this one, schedule a consultation. No need to change the text. I'm just going to replace. Okay, this one is going to be book a consultation, but it's still going to go to the contact button. It seems I mistakenly added it to a frame, and that is what I try not to do. I'm just going to do it again. I'll just put it on the edge here. I'm going to copy the text and then paste, cut this button, replace. Since I already have the button on my clipboard and it's all the same text, I'm just going to replace all of them with the same button. I tend to wait a bit to make sure. I want to set up purple highlights to know that I have my components there. And the final one, replace. All right. Next up and finally is the contact button. All buttons in this contact page is going to be the interactive button. So I'm going to search for the one I named interactive button. I'm going to cut this, and then I need to just select only the text, only the button, paste that, and I'm going to grab this, I'm going to copy the text of this and I'm going to replace it here, and cut and then replace here. I think we have just one more, and this one is also going to be the interactive button. I'm going to copy the text and then paste, and I'm going to cut and then replace. All right, we have substituted all the header links as well as the buttons and as well as the footer links. Let's now go back to our prototype view to interact with our design. All right, let's open the prototype tab and let me see. I actually figured out what was wrong. The prototype tab that was open was still connected to the web pages tab, so that's why it wasn't loading. So I ran the prototype from the prototype page. That's why it was having issues, and I was trying to figure out what's going on. Well, I have figured it out now. All right, let's interact. So if I click on this, if I hover over this, nothing is going to happen because we don't have any hover states, but we do for this one. So when I hover over this, we're going to have, this hover state. So let's go to the about page. We're in the about page, practice areas, attorneys, and contacts. Let's go back to the home page, and now we can interact with the buttons. Now I'll click on it. It's going to take us to the contact page. If I click on this, you can see it's just an interactive button. It's not going to do anything. I'm going to click on it, click again, nothing. And I can also use this to navigate. Let's go to the about us page from here. So I'm going to scroll down, and we have our attorneys. We can see view full team. If I click on this, it's going to take us to the attorneys page. If I click on one of these buttons, let's say from here, it's going to take us to the contact page. Let's go back to the home page. Click here. We're back in the home page. Learn more about us. This is going to take us to the contacts page. Let's go back to the home page one more time. And this, we also have a hover state. When I click on that, it's going to take us to the contact page, so on and so forth. And you can go around and play around with your designs. Go to other page. Maybe you can even add hover states to some sections. But yeah, that is it for this particular tutorial. If you enjoyed watching the video and you also learned something new, please like, share, and subscribe. You can also leave me a comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.